Israeli-Palestinian. A Middle East show would be a lot of fun.
What about like? Oh yeah, no, we could not do.
I'm gonna do the thing because fuck it.
Thing?
Totally
the intro.
the intro. Okay, so
What's the
we'll
end?
stop on the
everything we're saying right now.
We'll stop
Okay,
on the
well.
Middle East talk until the intro's done because.
You're listening to Surreal Talk, a look inside the world of cults, conspiracies, and the paranormal.
Something's not right, man. Something's bullshit here, and I don't believe it.
Honestly, this crazy shit could be completely possible.
You think you know the whole story? Think again.
This?
Tony made that.
My partner?
No, Tony in our office.
Oh, that Tony. Okay, yeah.
He did a very good job.
Well, I guess a bearded Tony.
Yes, bearded Tony. Yes. So you think we couldn't do a Middle Eastern show, Armand? There'd be no way we could get away with that. Because
Well, I meant,
when you
I
talk
don't-
about things that
is it too controversial for this show?
yeah,
I didn't think anything
that's
was
what
too.
I was getting at. That Everett admitted that there's a social taboo about talking not objectively, but like in offense to.
Well, believe me, on Christmas I was at my brother-in-law's and my sister's, and he had some guests, and one of them was living in Dubai. And boy, he was so pro-Arab, and of course I'm pro-Israel.
Oh,
But I don't
God.
necessarily think pro-Israel is anti-Arab. That's what I was trying to tell the guy. I think
They
they could
do.
live together. They really could.
They won't.
Well, they won't, because I think the Palestinians are being used as pawns because there's no peace. They don't want peace. But now I think it's coming around. I think the Saudi Arabs and the Egyptians, they're actually saying, that there could be peace.
Israel does. Israel wants that, and they're not
Sure.
stopping until they get it.
Once what?
That land.
They have it.
Of
They're
course
giving
they
it up.
do.
They're giving it up. They didn't have to give up the Golan Heights or the Gaza Strip. They gave that up. They took that in 1960. They had the whole Sinai Peninsula.
But there it is. They took it.
Well, sure.
So
a lot of people.
welcome to the fucking discussion this week, everybody. This has been kind of a holdover from the beginning of the show, and they just haven't stopped. Anyway, carry on with your Zionist versus.
Well, we're just dispelling the myth that Everett says that we can't discuss the Middle East because it's too controversial.
No, we
Does everybody
were
think
just
that?
saying.
I
We
just
were
think
just
you
saying
can
there's a
discuss whatever you
social
want.
taboo.
Right.
In criticizing Israel and
Well, you've got not
and
to me.
the Jewish nation.
I'll defend
not
it.
to you, not to you.
Right.
But maybe not to you. Maybe to you. I don't know. I can't say. You might be playing the long fucking con here, Armand. I don't know. But there is totally a social taboo in that subject, to whereas you're immediately called an anti-Semite if you even discuss anything that's to the negative of the Jewish state of Israel,
Okay.
of the entire.
Well, that's incorrect. I think if that's
That's
not
true,
you, I'm
though.
talking about somebody that takes offense, and because you know me, I never call anybody a racist or
Right.
I call him an idiot, but not a racist or a homophobe.
Yeah,
a homophobe or not a
Armand will
homophobe.
call you a moron, but
yeah,
he
I'll
will
call
not
you dumb
a
shit,
racist.
is
but
really
not
loud.
a racist. Oh,
Are you guys really loud too?
No, we're all
It's just
right.
my
I don't
headphones.
have my headphones on, so.
But
Yeah, I'm going to assume that you're trying. Wow, it's loud. Holy shit. That's better. Yeah. Yeah, I'm going to assume that your reasons for saying what they are have nothing to do with an
I'm not anti-Semitic.
That's what I'm saying. I don't think so. I think you're anti-Israel, but not because you're an anti-Semite. You just think that the Palestinians on this
And I don't agree
are,
with
quote, right.
as much money as we give them and everything. Like, their economy's doing
Guys,
great. Like,
yeah.
how do we give that much money to that?
Well, we
little
give a
of
lot of money to
country?
everybody. That's,
sure do,
I'd
but,
rather get rid of. I'm with you there. Absolutely. But I mean, if you look back in 1948, the UN partitioned Israel. There was half Palestine and half Israel. They didn't want that. The Palestinians did not accept that.
Riveting.
This guy says he used to be Team Eric, but he feels like the past month has converted me to Team Everett.
I wonder why that is. I
Ooh.
don't really want to know, but I'm glad actually.
Because
No,
it's
you're
because
defending
of
the
Israel.
Jews.
That's,
Yes,
that's
there it is.
exactly what it is.
Here you
There
go
it
again,
is.
blaming the Jews for something else.
That's right. The poor people didn't do a damn thing.
They have everything to do with this guy going from Team Eric to Team Everett. That's what it is.
See, if you just stay neutral, you get a lot of middle of the roaders here.
That's where I'm at.
No,
I'm going for
and I
that.
wasn't saying one way or the other. I'm just saying
Thanks,
there's a
Josh.
definite social taboo.
You think?
Talking about yes.
Of all the things you
100%.
guys speak of on here that you would think that would really rile people
You
up.
know what we've got the most shit about anything, with the exception of the pedophile defending Everett over here on Pizzagate episode? That was our number one most
I defended no pedophile.
Emailed in and messaged and fucking
Motherfucker.
We're done listening. 1-star review. That was the number one. Number two, which with almost, I would say,
Okay.
almost
Close
the same
second.
amount, was when I said that the Jews control the media. And I said that in a large context. Looking back on it, I should have said people that are of Jewish religion own 90% of what you hear, read, write, and see.
So you put it in delicately, but I think most people, I think there's a certain
And
amount
it
of
was just completely
right. There's a certain amount of truth to that,
There is. All right. No,
and I don't really have a problem with that because it's not like it's a conspiracy.
I mean,
although
I was
with
literally called a Nazi, an anti-Semite. For that statement there, I was called a Nazi multiple fucking times.
Well, let me ask you this: do you think that's a bad thing? I don't necessarily think it's a bad thing that the Jews control the 90% of the media. I don't think that's necessarily bad.
Why would you want to give that much control to any one people? I wouldn't want any religion or race having that much control over. I want multiple
Does it matter that much?
sources.
I don't know. I don't care if it'd be 90% Armenians.
Controls it, and just like it's like it seems secondary to me that
Right.
they happen to be Jewish.
Right.
Right.
Coincidence.
I guess what you're trying to say is that
Holy shit, the Italians have the pasta market cornered. You know what I
see
mean?
now there's that pedophile coming out of here.
Right.
What?
No shit.
It just seems like what would he do?
Well, I guess the point you're making is in the debate over the Middle East, since the Jews, according to not you, but
here's
if
the
they
thing,
do
we can't
control the
even say
media,
that. We
they'll
can't
be
even say
pro.
the Jews. You can't even say
Why?
the
That's-
Jews. I promise you can't, Armand.
It's just a religion. That's not a pejorative
This
term.
4 minutes that we've been on this subject
it.
right now.
My mic is too loud.
We're gonna
Bob's
get
saying.
literally.
You know, I don't have to have a loud mic.
All right, I'll take care of that, Bob.
Danielle
Yes,
M
I'll-
says
I'll-
Team Everett
I'll
after
whisper.
Team Eric after Everett decided
Again, this is
incest
a total.
was
This is
acceptable.
fake news.
Danielle got you.
This is fake news. I never said incest was okay. I said what somebody, two adults do together in the privacy of their own home, it doesn't hurt somebody else is fine with me. That's
If
all.
one of them's a pedophile, that's not two adults.
They can be a pedophile in their brain as long as they don't act on it. Whatever. I don't give a fuck. Don't touch nobody. Don't make anybody else uncomfortable. That was my whole point. Do
Okay.
what you're going to do in your own brain. That's your free spot.
Well, I got a question. What am I drinking? I'm drinking a combination of water, creatine, nitric oxide,
Nitrous
some
oxide?
greens,
Armand's
not
got
nitrous,
NOS in his-
not
in it.
nitrous, nitric oxide,
He's still a
and
little hot, man.
some greens powder.
Turning down about 15%.
And what else did I put in there? I think that's about it.
Did you get any G Fuel in there this time?
No, I'm gonna get some though. That's got kind of orangish taste. That's pretty good.
That's
It's like
golden
Tang.
apple pear.
Oh,
That
is
shit
it?
ain't even out yet.
No, they just released that. We got
Who got
that's-
it? Who?
Tom, he does business with G Fuel. He's he owns
Tom
a
got
pro esports team, and they're sponsored by
Can
G
you
Fuel.
get some more?
Sure
Yeah.
can.
Oh yeah.
Apparently he gets buckets of this shit.
Yeah, he's got a
Son, as
ton
much
of
as he
it.
can get.
I want
I-
to try that cherry
yeah.
limeade.
Anyway,
All right.
what are we talking about today before we get to the show?
Torture.
We were
right?
talking about Israel, and
Oh, that's what it is.
and
Talking
that's where we landed at so far was you know, and I'm not. Never mind. We should be done talking about this. We're already. I can feel the 1-star reviews rolling in. I can feel the hate messages. I
This
know
is
it's
just a
coming.
warm up.
I know it's coming.
I feel like the emperor. Yes, give it to me.
Brian Maiden said that looks like rusty toilet water.
She's got a point there. Tastes better. I don't know. I don't know what that tastes like, but
What, rusty toilet water?
yeah, you know, I was watching Train Spotting the other day, and did you see the part where he's
I've
in
never
that?
seen that.
Oh, you got. There's a part in the toilet. I won't give it away, but
Okay. I am very smart, Armand.
oh wow, I
Would
don't
that
know
be-
if
that's the new subreddit.
I'm not sure that may be. You think that's sarcastic? I don't know.
Robert Jarrett says Team Eric or Jerez.
Jerez, I would
Jerez.
imagine, right?
I would think so.
See if we can
So you're losing a lot of people. Well, no, actually, that's for you, huh?
Yeah.
Did you guys hear this?
Like, but
What, rusty toilet water?
yeah, you know, I was watching.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Through the headphones? Mm-hmm. Okay. Cool.
but today is torture, correct? We're not discussing the Middle East.
Every day's torture,
They do-
Armand.
They
Every
Yeah,
day.
well, everybody
they
that
do
listens
that
to
there.
this.
They do that there.
I'm checking to see if that's a real subreddit.
I am
That'd be
very
awesome.
smart. That would be cool, wouldn't it?
What's
They-
that?
Torture in the Middle East.
I am
Well,
very
I'm
smart.
I'm sure there are plenty of torture everywhere. That's part of. Well, I was going to bring that up. Part of warfare, isn't
Yeah,
it?
it totally is. We'll check this out later. It's upvotes. It's in the amount of IQ you have. It's funny.
Well, what? I guess what we're going to discuss first. I assume you guys are going to discuss what constitutes torture, right? Because my definition may be a little different than
Right,
yours.
there's many different definitions. Yeah, we're definitely
Right.
going to go over what, like, say, the Army Field Manual says is torture versus the international law version of torture. There's a lot of different. There's the best one though was Amnesty International's. I think that gets right down to the base of it.
Of what it is.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's definitely on the list today.
Well, the Geneva Conventions, I think, didn't they define it?
Yeah,
Have you
they're
looked that
against
up?
it.
I
It's
would
like the
think.
Bible.
Okay.
You know what the Bible says about Geneva Conventions?
Hey, share your doc with me, man.
It's what do you mean? You are shared on
Is it in Surreal Talk?
Yeah,
Oh yeah,
come on,
just
man.
my drive hadn't updated. Sorry.
Come on, man. God damn, man.
You want to copy this?
Oh, ding dang do.
You want to copy this?
Yeah. You might as well hit me with a copy. Oh, son of a bitch.
What?
That switch counts. Don't worry about it.
Ha ha. Who are you posting as?
I'm not posting as anybody at YouTube Once Notifications block.
All right, we'll go live here in about a minute and a half, 2 minutes, or start the show rather. Sound good to you guys?
Heard. What are you going? What are you printing that shit out?
I already printed it. Gotta pick it up.
I bet you gotta turn that printer on. Oh my god. Nope. Oh, it was going off down here.
Yeah, it was right here on the air.
Hey, Surreal
Very
Talks.
unprofessional.
Yeah. Thank you, Armand.
Yes. And so is your chewing, by the way. I agree with your fans.
I haven't even chewed
Enough of
anything
this.
since we've been on air.
Yes, enough of this mastication. Who's
How do you
complaining?
feel? How do you? Everybody. How do you-
Everybody. Wow. Well,
How do you feel about feminism?
is this under the guy under? Does this come
We
under
had
the
a
heading
hell
of
a
torture?
feminism talk on the Ocho show yesterday.
Oh my God. Was there a woman?
Uh-huh.
Which one? Come on.
AJ Achlam.
Oh, AJ. Oh boy.
Is
Oh
that, That's how
boy.
you pronounce her name, right?
Yeah, I'm not sure. I guess I would think. Yeah.
She's a feminist.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I think I know what she had to say.
I tested the logic of it.
Did I say yes to? I don't even know what pegging is. What is it? What is pegging? Well, anal?
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
For the man.
Oh. Well, wait a minute now. I'm not sure I agree with that. I think.
You probably said it on air last week or 2 weeks ago.
Well, I think we were talking about that on Ocho Man too, weren't we? That
Might have been on Ocho Man.
Yeah. Well.
That might have
But
been.
now wait a minute. You have to define that. That's not necessarily gay sex. That's like a woman. We were talking about women with strap-ons.
Not this show.
Okay.
Yeah,
All right.
we're good with that.
Okay. Yeah. Well, he brought it up. I'm just wondering.
Yeah, they're going to bring up all kinds of shit.
I didn't know.
What does everyone else think about butt sex? I think that's what we're not.
I don't even know. Yeah, I don't even know the term for it.
Well,
So.
I don't remember exactly how it came up, but it was like, would that like be okay? And I believe you said yes.
Well, I think they were asking me. It was asking a totally theoretical, rhetorical question about what I preferred, and I did render a judgment.
I'm turning the light back on. I think that's better.
It's whatever, man.
Somebody wants to see me get pegged. That's
You actually want to
gratuitous.
watch or just want that to happen to you?
Well, let me say a few things first this week, and then you can maybe modify your opinion.
He said it's gross.
Thank you, touch by.
Captain
Okay,
Obvious.
pegging is her strap-on. Okay, so that is what it is. Okay, all right.
Oh yeah.
We don't want to discuss that because I wanted to clarify so everybody knew what I was talking about.
I mean, if you feel the need to set things right,
yeah, I mean,
that's
I don't
on
want
you. Go
anybody
ahead.
getting the wrong. Ocho Man asked if I was in a bar and I picked up a beautiful woman, and she said, before I can have relations with her, she could perform a certain act upon me, and I said, yes, if I could perform certain acts upon her. That's all. Is that subtle enough?
What did I come into here?
I mean, to me, pegging is, remember in gym where you're
Oh.
going up the pegboard? That's what I thought they meant. It's interesting.
Yeah, there's different.
I'm an old man. I don't know what you young people talk about.
Let's
These euphemisms.
let's bask in this awkwardness for a minute.
All right.
You're going to have to inhale it.
Oh, I do. That's how you really take it in, Armand.
Wow, I like this. You have a very nice outline here.
Oh, thanks, buddy.
We don't want the
I made-
complete carnage of a couple
made
weeks
that.
ago.
Yeah. Oh man, this is one of the first ones I've decided I might not want to use, but it's going to be shown anyway. So here we go.
What are you doing?
What?
A comment that'll be going quickly onto the.
Well, I'm really taking. That show hasn't even started yet, and I'm taking my lumps here.
Go fast and eat ass.
Is that from Ricky Bobby too?
I don't know, but I like it.
Yeah, it seems strangely fitting.
All right, you guys about ready?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I think so. Let's
Okay.
change the subject.
Here we go.
I'm okay with it.
You're listening to Surreal Talk, a look inside the world of cults, conspiracies, and the paranormal.
Something's not right, man. Something's not right. Something's bullshit here, and I don't believe it.
Honestly, this crazy shit could be completely possible.
Disclaimer, we reserve the right to be wrong, ladies and gentlemen. You think you know the whole story? Think again.
Now your hosts, Eric and Everett.
And we are back. I skipped the whole first part that time. Did you see it?
What was the first part?
Welcome to Surreal Talk.
Oh, you fucked that up then, in my opinion.
Oh, well.
What if this is the first time somebody's listening and you skipped it?
Tomato, tomato, man. They'll get used to the humor.
Yeah, I guess so.
What humor?
Indeed. What humor indeed.
What are we talking about today?
Nothing humorous.
Nothing. You don't find torture humorous? Have you ever seen the Corsican Brothers? Cheech and Chong?
Oh yeah, yeah. I actually I
Where they
saw.
kind of he gets Cheech up on the rack and he's going to town on him, and he doesn't feel it. Cheech doesn't feel it, but Chong feels it across the way. That's humorous to me, but that's about it for.
Well, that's actually I've read the book, The Corsican Brothers, and that's kind of what it's based on. Alexander Dumas,
Yes.
with their Siamese
Three
twins.
Musketeers guy. Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah, torture this week. But before we get to that, we have one voicemail.
Uno.
Just one this week. And it's a short one, so we can get through it quickly.
All right.
Uh-oh, wait. Nope, never mind. We got three of them, a couple late arrivals.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, we'll see how this goes. The first one's by someone named Purple.
Purple. Purple rain.
Hey guys.
Hey.
Love the show.
Thank you.
Love the back and forth banter.
Oh, right.
Makes for a pretty entertaining time at work.
Oh. Well, thank
the
you.
only thing I can say is that you probably shouldn't eat during podcasts.
Which reminds me, move those fucking chips away. You're still sitting here munching on them.
One.
Keep it out.
Hold on.
Just saying.
Just saying.
Otherwise, you guys are great.
Oh, thank you.
Thanks.
I agree.
And you're
It was
still-
all him last week. I didn't have a sunflower seed one.
You're a goddamn liar.
Are you eating right now?
No.
Spit that out. How much shit did we take over this past week as you eat and you're sitting here going,
And tell them what you're eating.
yeah, well, everybody deserves to know this
Interesting.
fucking slurpy sound you're making.
Snyder's of Hanover, pretzel pieces, hot, excuse me,
You
hot
suck.
buffalo wing.
So direct your emails to info@surrealtalkpodcast.com. Make sure they all use the subject, Eric, stop eating. Let's see how many we can get about this.
I don't think we'll get any.
And we'll see if we can get him to completely stop eating.
You
No
weren't
shame.
eating. You weren't. It was.
I had some.
Oh, okay.
I had some, but I'm kind of rallying behind
I
it. It's
heard the
mostly him.
show. I thought I heard.
Josh, that
Oh,
is
yeah.
on the list, actually, Josh.
Oh, yeah. Anyway, here's the next two more voicemails coming, both from an anonymous source.
Uh-oh.
I'm going to assume they're the same person, but here we go.
Hi. First
Hey.
time caller, long time listener.
Oh, hey.
And
Good
by
deal.
long time, I mean maybe a month at the very most.
That's a
Oh,
long
right.
time.
Well, yeah.
I asked him to call
In
and
dog
say
years.
hashtag Team Everett.
Ah, horse shit.
Yes. And that was the end of it. Nothing else. Team Everett, that's the way to
Wow.
go out.
She had a pretty voice too.
I guess so, yeah. I mean, she
I
had a
get the
female
one-
voice.
Yeah. I get the ones
Close
that want to
enough.
see me get pegged.
Yeah.
They're on my team.
Hey, Armand.
Anyway.
My big Jewish body needs some lovin'.
Oh, the old
don't-
Armand crank phone
Oh,
call.
get rid of that, please. Erase that.
You
will
know
you?
what? Next week before the show, I'm playing that because
Oh no.
you can find it in an ancient episode of Ocho Man Show
Oh, yeah, leave it there.
and a little bit of interlude here. Way
bury
back
that
when,
with the
about
Dead
2
Sea
3 years ago,
Scrolls.
I took a soundboard that was from quote unquote the Jewish sex hotline, and I made a crank call to Armand when he was driving down the road as some
I was
Jewish,
in L.A.
Jewish sex line worker. It's 4 minutes of the best shit you'll ever hear in your life.
It's good stuff.
I'll play it next week before the show.
Oh.
It's very good. So if you want
Is
to
that
hear
really
that,
necessary?
yeah, if you want, and we're using you as promo now. If you want to hear that, you better be here next week before the show.
It's
So
Memorial Day. Nobody's going to be listening.
well, they're gonna miss out then.
Go to a barbecue.
All right. Anyway, last voicemail for the week.
You know,
What?
I used to be Team Eric.
Oh, well, god damn it.
Then one day I saw some white dog poop. I realized
Where's he going?
me being on Team Eric just meant I was a shill for the white dog poop people too. Team Everett.
Oh, man, hell no.
What's that a reference to? You guys,
We've talked about this a few times. The fact that where did all the white dog poop go?
I didn't know there was any. Did Divine eat it?
Dog shit used to be white after a few days, Armand, on the ground.
Really? It turns white? I didn't know that. I just thought it hardened up.
You've never been much of a dog owner, huh?
No.
Yeah,
no.
that explains
Look
that.
at
White dog
cats.
crap.
Yeah.
Okay.
Anyway.
Is that a mystery to you guys that there's not an...
Well, no, we figured it out. It's just because they stopped using bone meal in the formula.
There's been a development. New shit has come to light.
What?
My voicemail, but I changed my mind after Everett went incest on the last episode.
Oh,
Tough
wow.
shit. It's already been played, Daniel.
So that's as good as a Team Eric.
No, it's not.
Yeah, it is.
Sorry, it's not. You better send another voicemail for next week.
Hey,
man.
what's the score on that? Is it still pretty even? Or what?
We got to go into that? Do we really got to go into
Oh,
that?
really?
Fuck it.
And
I don't
he's
care.
chewing and eating and
Yeah, I don't get it.
mastication
A vote for
sounds.
These are
Eric is
my
a vote
people.
for chomping on the air. He's got me 322 to 328.
Oh, that's pretty close.
Or no,
I
wait a
thought
minute.
it was a
322 to
landslide.
308. Sorry, he's beat me by
Ooh.
14.
That's
Yeah,
going to
it
be
is
tough
what
to
it
come
is,
back
pal.
from.
Yeah, well, he's got
Well,
me
you're
by
not
about
getting my
2%.
members. I got a few.
Yeah, you do got some Team Armands.
I'm
They all want to see me
scared
get
of Adam.
pegged.
All right. Speaking of pegging, this week we are talking torture.
Yes.
Not torture to everyone, I guess.
Might as
Well,
well
that's
start.
Not
what we're
Armand.
that's what we're going to talk about. Is what
Eventually.
constitutes torture? Is that
I
the
think
first-
pegging.
Pegging's torture.
If
in
you
my
don't want
opinion. If you don't want it.
Right.
Basically, I mean, anything could be torture if you don't
Well,
want
that's
it.
what I was going to say. Right. If anything you do, I mean, anything done to you that you find uncomfortable or distressing by someone else, is that torture? I don't
Well,
know.
let's go into what the definitions of torture are by various international law and shit that somebody wrote down.
Good idea.
basically,
Okay.
so to speak.
All right.
So the UN Convention Against Torture states, for the purpose of this convention, the term torture means any act by which severe pain or suffering, whether physical or mental, is intentionally inflicted upon a person for such purposes as obtaining from him or a third person information or a confession punishing him for an act he did or a third person has committed or suspecting have committed, or intimidating, coercing him or a third person or for any reason based on discrimination of any kind when such pain or suffering is inflicted or by the investigation or with the consent of blah, 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 blah.
Yeah,
God, this
that's
goes on
a
and
pretty
on and on.
Long-winded definition. Who is that?
This is the UN. You know how they get.
Of
Anyway,
course.
now I'm gonna finish it. I started it.
Okay.
When such pain or suffering is inflicted by or at the instigation of or with the consent or acquiescence of a public official or other person acting in official capacity. It does not include pain or suffering arising only from, inherent in, or incidental to lawful sanctions. So if you're you getting taxed too much, or if we we sanction North Korea, that's not torture. If those people have to suffer, that's not us torturing them, I think is how that works.
Ah, okay. I guess that's the implication.
That's
Do
a
you
long
agree with
one.
that?
So
I don't know if I agree with that.
withholding food from an entire nation's not torture. I'm not saying that's
Right.
what we're doing to North
It's
Korea.
too macro, man. Torture is done at a small level, apparently. Otherwise, you call it a Holocaust.
Well, Eric was making the point before the show about an hour ago when he was talking about, we were talking about if it was justified torture, whatever you just define it. And you made the point, what if someone was going to take everything you own, right?
Mhm.
You torture them to keep what you
Well,
own.
because the
correct?
obvious shit is.
Well, the IRS sometimes takes everything you own.
You guys are
Well,
getting ahead of it here.
Let's play back to that
Well,
conversation, though.
I'm
The
just talking about
obvious
the
shit was
definition.
Fine. Let's do it.
torture. The obvious thing is, we're going to hurt your family, your kids, but and Armand.
Hey, did you put more in your mouth?
Of course not.
Please spit it out. Bullshit. I just seen you slurping on it. I seen your mouth move, your
This
tongue
guy.
rolling around.
Anyways, so to kick it up a notch, like, what if they took everything of yours, your identity,
trying, people.
your not just your money, but everything, your identity? You could
Or
basically
perhaps your
you were
show
on a-
food.
huh?
Or perhaps your in-show food.
Yeah, your buffalo
That's
pretzels.
not soul food.
No, your in-show
In-
food. God damn you. Anyway,
He's chewing
sorry.
so loud he can't hear you.
What if they took your identity? Like everything that makes you, you're no longer you anymore. Like you can't prove that you're you.
That's very abstract. Just
Yes,
saying.
that's sort of
I mean, that's the
abstruse.
worst. You would torture somebody to get your life back.
Maybe. I
I'm just
mean,
talking-
I don't know without being in
I
that
would.
situation. I mean,
But you don't think the IRS confiscating, say, a third or 40% of what you make, that's not torture to you? Because it's, quote, sanctioned?
That's the federal government, though. It's not
Well,
IRS.
does that make it right?
By way of IRS, but that's federal
Well, they're
government.
removing your freedom. If you talked about Milton Friedman, I mean, that's, money is freedom.
Let's read Amnesty International's
Okay, all
version
right.
of it, and we'll see
I
if
hope
that
it's shorter
constitutes.
anyway.
It's much shorter.
Oh, good.
Torture is the systematic and deliberate infliction of acute pain by one person or on another or on a third person in order to accomplish the purpose of the former against the will of the latter. So basically, my will over yours by any means. Whenever you force your will over someone like that, using pain, be it mental or psychological or physical,
Okay.
That's torture.
All right. Well, that's at least concise.
How do you prove you were tortured mentally?
That's the problem right there. I was going to say, like, some cream puff can come up and say,
Cream puff.
some weenie, you know what I mean?
Yes.
Somebody who's a sissy, you can't handle
wimp,
any kind of.
Fucking wiener.
Not a real
that-
man
that
like
does
us
sound real
that
bad,
gets
doesn't it?
pegged like we do.
Hey, hold on.
Sorry.
We got something going on with the stream, man.
Right.
It keeps loading. Everybody says it
Uh-oh.
keeps loading, and I'm looking at it right now, and it's doing the same thing.
Yeah, it is. Hold on. I'm going to pause the recording. We'll figure this out. Be back in a second. You'll not notice.
You will not notice.
Do you have any other comments about the Middle East in the
I hope
intermission period?
We're working on it, guys. On the what happened, Everett? You got to restart stream PC.
I'm going to restart it right now, though.
What does that mean?
He said my phone is buffering. Oh, and just viewers is what I was talking about. Yeah, maybe. Man, you guys got charter or something? Ah.
Ooh, that hurts.
Nice.
That was unnecessary.
Back to the recording. 3, 2.
Sorry, we had charter.
That's just rough.
Yeah.
That's what.
I think we're back up and going, though. I hope we are. Anyway, what were we talking about before our stream interrupted our groove?
Well, you were
gonna
defining
read
torture.
the other
Amnesty International. But you just read theirs. What's the next
Oh,
one?
well, you guys were saying, do you think that the IRS taking 30 to 40% constitutes torture? I don't think that by Amnesty International or anybody else is really.
All right.
That's what we went into. What defines mental torture?
Right.
Yeah.
Well, what defines torture in general? I would tell you this: Would you rather be caned or have somebody take 40% of your wealth?
Cane me.
Me too.
Isn't
So
any
that
sort
to me
of-
means it's torture.
Isn't any
Wait, how
sort of
bad's the
punishment
caning, though?
in some
Caning's
way
pretty bad.
isn't any form of punishment in one way or another kind of a torture? It's something
that's
you
the
don't want to
question.
happen to you.
Time out. Is
they're
that
in-
torture?
I mean,
To a
kind
kid?
of.
Well, therein
Yes.
lies the.
Time out is technically psychological torture. To
Or
a
what
kid.
about when we were kids? We used to have to put our nose in the corner, which meant we'd have to go stand in the corner of the room with our nose in the corner for half an hour.
How about if you strike? Speaking of dogs, what if you hit your dog? I mean, are they?
What if you
are
beat
they-
your kid?
If you do it,
Well, some
is it
people say
one
that.
time or multiple times it starts to constitute torture?
It depends on how many times the fucker does, messed up stuff.
Well, that's the, I think
Okay,
that's
sounds
the
like
question.
Eric's on the I'm going to beat my kid front.
Well, I mean, I'm not gonna beat my kid, but I'm not gonna beat my kid either.
I
You know what I
gotcha,
mean?
I gotcha. Not
Oh
beat,
shit! I
mean
can feel
discipline,
the votes. I
right?
can feel the
Well, if
votes
it-
shifting.
Yeah,
Discipline.
you lost some team members there.
Yeah.
So, how effective do you guys think torture is?
I think it's very
Very. Oh gosh.
Leon Panetta, I just read, he stated how effective that waterboarding was
I think we got to take it a step further. Effective for what?
for gathering information.
For gathering information.
That's what he said.
So is all torture? Is it only torture if it's used to gather information?
Does that
Not
define
necessarily.
it? Hell no, because you don't have to. You could be torturing somebody because it has nothing to do with trying to get something from them. Could be revenge. Could be punishment. It doesn't need to be information extraction only. Torture is a great means to do that. Extract information from someone because they're in such a vulnerable state and they wish it would stop. So, yeah, they're going to let you know what you want to know. But I wouldn't say torture is strictly defined by information extraction.
Right. Well, I mean, during the Vietnam War, I remember they were torturing those guys at the Hanoi Hilton because they wanted them to, not necessarily for information, but they wanted them to admit that this was, they wanted them to get on TV and say we're capitalists and we're just maiming people. They wanted, basically it's propaganda more than anything else.
Force them to do something they
Right.
wanted them to do.
Yeah.
That's a.
And meanwhile, the guy was doing Morse code for torture with his eye blinking.
I remember that. I think in
No
that case,
shit, I didn't
Yeah,
see
remember
that.
that? Yeah, he was-
No, I'm going to watch that video, though.
exactly.
I
You
never
remember
see that. No.
where he has the whole.
Yeah, he's doing a Morse code torture while he's
he's a
speaking
POW?
exactly what they wanted him to say.
Wow,
Yeah.
that's fucking, what a ballsy motherfucker. What a badass.
In my day, we used to cut people's eyelids off for that kind of shit.
That's torture.
That's torture.
I think that qualifies. Yeah.
You could never sleep.
I mean, I think that's wrong. I see people sleep with their eyes open all the time. Well, I mean,
Who
not
do you
people.
see?
I've seen people. Remember Jeff's kid Dennis back when he was a real young kid? He'd sleep with his eyes open.
Yeah,
So it
yeah.
happens. It
Yeah,
happens.
it does. It's just weird as fuck.
Anyway, I think torture as a means of, at least the world at large has actually said it's not effective.
What?
I think the intelligence divisions say that it's a tool that they've used, and it's very like I said.
I guess
Leon
maybe-
Panetta, who's no big fan of Trump, is defending what's her name, the Haspel. the
Oh,
lady
yeah,
who's
the
got,
new CIA
yeah,
lady.
Haspel.
But don't you
and
think
he said-
that if you're being tortured, or not maybe you, but someone would have the tendency to say whatever you wanted them to
That's-
say, to
right.
whatever you'll say, whatever it takes to get this to stop,
That's
whether
what they
it's
say.
true or not.
Correct. But
Oh,
I think
so
they
you're
have.
saying there's like they'll say anything. It doesn't have to even be true. They're
Right.
just there's no
Right.
control in it.
Well,
you know
that's
what I mean?
the
You
main
can't-
criticism of it. Yeah, that
You
they're
can't
gonna
tell if
admit to
what they're
anything.
telling you is right or not. You have you're just basically
You know-
counting
you
on
know
it.
what the fucked up flip side of this is? Way back in the first 2 centuries AD, slavery or torture was only used on slaves in like Greece and Rome in that area. But if you were to use a slave's testimony, it could not be considered truthful unless that slave was tortured first. So had you not tortured them, you can't trust what they say.
They were
Wow.
just people, those Romans.
That's gnarly.
But now these days, in my opinion, I don't think you could completely trust anyone who has been tortured just for the simple fact they'll say whatever it takes to get the torture to stop.
You know, in Rome, if you took an oath, you had to hold your balls in your hand. You know,
Really?
like we put our hands up or whatever. They
I'm gonna need a
They
citation.
held onto their scrotum.
That's
Can
awesome.
we get a citation on that?
Listen,
you don't need a citation. I'm
This
fucking
day
with
in
you.
history. Hey, I'm the history guy.
That's right.
Take my word for it.
I'll take your word for anything.
Here.
Tell me
I
the
got my
sky's
hands on
purple
my
and I believe
nuts.
you.
Okay, I'm telling the truth.
Interestingly enough, he does, folks.
Yeah,
I always do.
There was a full gesture there, not just that. He wasn't talking. That was not just show propaganda.
So past getting information, getting someone to do what you want them to do. So that's the same thing as discipline, in my opinion. Whether it be to get your kid to go to bed at the right time, or to get a person to go on TV to say a message that they didn't want to say, is that kind of the same thing?
Mild torture, you mean?
Well,
Pretty much.
But that's what we were
It's
discussing.
behavioral changing with a.
What constitutes torture per se, though? What I mean, like that's I say that waterboarding is not torture because it's not
Waterboarding is
permanent. It is
torture.
not permanent damage to someone.
It's psychological damage. What if
okay.
at that point you don't want to even take a shower anymore? It fucks with your brain somehow. You don't know how
Yeah,
somebody affected.
I almost guarantee you get PTSD from that. PTSD from that. Almost guarantee.
Well, then basically, if you join the army and you're in any kind of war or whatever, that could be torture too.
Yeah.
And we do it to our own guys, of course. You know, the
Yeah.
guys in the CIA, et cetera, they have
Yeah.
to. The
That's
SEALs.
voluntary. You're allowing yourself voluntarily to
Not
be tortured.
necessarily. I
What
mean-
about when you train an animal? We were saying earlier when you hit your dog. But what if you have a choke collar or something like that, where you're modifying the behavior of an animal or even
Through
a person
pain.
Is
through
it
pain?
okay? But is it permanent damage to the animal, to the beast,
You could argue that the psychological damage done to that
to a
animal
dog?
or
Yeah.
a person, if you're using pain, an animal of any sort, using pain as a method to change their behavior, I would have to say that's a type of mild torture.
I disagree.
Which is spanking your kids.
So there's a difference between what's the difference between discipline and torture then?
That's the question. Discipline.
I don't know. I don't know how you
Pain
can
level?
instill discipline without pain.
I guess that's where do you draw the line is the question.
How do you discipline without pain? I take like, and
No.
I'm talking just strictly in a kid's sense. Like
So
you
does
take the
pain-
shit
again, is-
away. Without,
What if I put you in a chokehold and you
Okay.
can't breathe? Okay,
I'm gonna
that's
flip you
technically
over
torture.
my back?
Pardon me?
No.
Are you
No,
doing that
you
to a
wouldn't.
kid?
I got the flankers in. I got my legs in, so you can't.
Oh,
you can't get out.
you got full.
Yeah, I got you in the full
I'm
naked.
gonna tap. That's
Is
what
that
I'm gonna,
torture though? Because once you come out of it, you're not hurt or now you're
Did
gonna have
did you let me
psychological
go?
damage?
Did you let me go?
Well, once you told me what I wanted to know.
That's torture.
Yeah, it's the same thing with kidnapping.
Yep,
it's holding
that's
you against
torture.
your will. That's you putting your will over someone
If
else's will.
if you and I actively engaged into a battle of the fisticuffs and you fucking beat my
Not
ass
just
and choked
fisticuffs.
me out,
Yeah.
that is not torture, in my opinion. That's
No, but
not,
I'm just saying I want to extract information
That's
from you,
torture.
and I put you in a choke.
That's torture. 100% is torture.
Okay.
Yeah.
How about if I sleep deprivation? I don't let you sleep.
Yeah, that's torture
3
too. That's
days. Okay.
definition of torture.
Yeah, that's every day. Yeah.
Have you ever watched the show 24?
tortured every day?
Jack Bauer? That motherfucker tortured some
How do
people.
you deprive somebody of sleep? Because me, personally, I can sleep anywhere.
Well, the Nazis
I'll
made
take
you
turn-
stand.
Yeah,
You
can you
couldn't,
do that?
couldn't. Yeah, try to sleep standing up. Good luck. Well,
What if
then they would hit
standing
you.
up?
I
Yeah.
bet after.
Smack.
Yeah, they'll smack you.
Smack.
They would strike you. That
Well, then we're
you're not going to go
fine.
to sleep.
They're going to shoot.
Okay,
That's
like,
gonna happen.
what if
I'm
you
gonna
got your
get
hands
shot
up like
before
this?
I go to sleep.
Did you ever see the Star Trek episode where the Kardashians kidnap Picard and they forced him to say there's more lights than there is, and the way they tortured him in that episode? He's still going on about being able to
I
sleep
don't.
standing up.
I don't think so.
They're not going to put you in a fucking corner.
Yeah, I don't think Gestapo would let you take that posture.
Hey, hold on a second, guys. I'm going to take a nap against the wall.
Yeah, right.
Sit down, Superman.
It can be done.
They can't even fucking hear what you're saying anyway over there in the corner.
They know what I'm doing, though.
No, they
get the
don't know what
point.
you're doing.
Yeah, they do.
No, your camera's not pointing at you. You were over there in a
People
black
on the
hole for 30
podcast might
seconds.
not know.
All
what
right,
I'm
let's
doing.
say that is torture. Are you? I don't care where T's at, by the way. Thank you, Trish.
T is in Paris, France. I can tell you
yeah,
that right
lucky
now.
dog. All right. Anyway, but at the Paris Climate Accords.
No,
but
you're
but are you against? I mean, okay.
So that's the
as a
thing.
method of
At
extracting
what level
information.
of torture are you okay with?
Well, there
now
you
that's
go.
the next
Where do
line
you
to figure
draw
out.
the line?
Right.
That's
is there
the
a
thing.
zero
Using
tolerance?
a belt to spank your
Nope.
kid. beating your
Discipline,
dog after he
torture,
shits on the floor, or
all the way to the
cutting
death
somebody's
penalty.
hand
If
off.
you think about it, discipline and torture is the same thing by another name.
I want to know that for people that in the podcast that just listen to this and people that are in the chat now, go to the group and tell me what level of torture you are okay with. I want to know what level of torture everyone's.
But no, see,
where do you draw the line at? What's
but
too much?
Hold on, you got to qualify that for what end?
That's what I was going to say. Because if it's torture just wantonly to inflict pain on somebody,
There's none of that allowed.
well, that to me is, well, that's thank you. That's
is-
probably we're all
no.
going to say that's negative. But if you're trying to extract information to save lives, i.e., your own people, granted, that's torture
Now
too.
here comes
but I
that
think
fucking
I'm
gray
okay with
area
it.
where you guys were
That's
talking about earlier.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm okay with it.
Yeah. So I mean, well, what's the
What's the cost though? Is it one life? Is it a life of a random person versus a life of a loved one? Where do you draw that line, Armand? Where torture becomes okay? When is that life?
I would, if it saves our team, our American, for instance, on the battlefield. if
So
it's
one
American
American,
lives,
any one American, or
Yes.
multiple Americans?
I would torture.
And is it being killed or inflicting
No, not
pain?
killing,
Like keeping them
pain.
No, I'm talking about like what might happen to our soldiers where you're justifying torture. So are you keeping even a soldier from taking a little bit of shrapnel, or is it's only okay if there's going to be one that might die?
I'm not sure you know. You can
Because
know
you can't
that.
say for sure before you torture somebody that somebody might die for what they're talking about. It's not a guarantee. You know what I'm saying? Like what this guy's doing might cause someone to die. He hasn't did it yet, and you're torturing him for information about something that hasn't happened.
Well, if I'm I think you're going to save a lot. Like if I want to know your
Possibly.
troop strength and dispositions and all that, I think it's worth it because a lot of lives possibly you can never be sure, but a lot of lives possibly depend on it. Believe me, during World War II, we tortured a lot of Germans.
See, here's
and
the question.
Japanese.
Here's the question you got
Not
to come back to
Japanese,
me
they
with,
killed
Armand.
themselves.
This is how you shut me up.
Okay.
What's better in that situation?
Our guys living?
No. I mean, what can we do?
what's
other
better than torture? What's more
Well,
effective?
What can we get that guy to talk?
I'm not sure I'm bringing it up at the right point. I'm looking at your outline, but I was going to say, do we actually need the torture? Because there are drugs that are, quote, truth serums, sera,
Sodium pentothal and whatnot.
sodium amytal, sodium pentothal, scopolamine, midazolam.
Scopolamine, that's that fucking that's that zombie drug from fucking South America. I swear to God, scopolamine. I promise you right now,
well,
that's
it's
a
from a
zombie
plant.
drug.
It's botanically derived.
Yeah.
You know. Now they say there are some limitations to that also because people under the
I thought it
influence
was
of that.
scopolamine, but
Scopolamine.
Okay.
I think that's how it's pronounced. It's
Yeah.
anesthetic. They used to use it as
Yeah.
an anesthetic, but it's a little dangerous.
Yeah.
So they don't use it anymore.
you
really.
forget everything, and you're at someone's will
Well,
completely.
that's the thing. I mean, I did surgery on people, and we gave them Versed, and you're in that twilight sleep.
Yeah.
And believe me, they and that's kind of the problem. They were divulging things, and I'd see them at a follow-up post-op visit, and I'd say, "Well, how's your boyfriend?" Such and such. How'd you know I had a boyfriend or something?
Or
well, you,
grandma
in your
used to sleep with the mailman. She didn't know, but I saw.
Yeah, I didn't
Armand
have
was
like
the
that.
mailman.
Oh, whoa.
Well, I didn't have anything that damning.
Well, I'm just saying that's the kind of stuff you might get.
There was some, but they say you can't. Supposedly, you can't trust that either, because apparently, and the reason that works is because it takes a certain amount of cognition and effort to lie.
Right.
And when you're taking that stuff, you don't have that kind of motivation, or you don't have that ability, so you
Right.
just tell the truth. Now, even that though is not permissible in court
No, hell no.
and stuff like that. But I think it kind of negates. I don't see why it wouldn't hurt to try it before torture. I mean, if you caught somebody on the battlefield, give them an injection of
Fair enough. So if you don't have the
Amitol, or
So say you're in the field and you're a military person, and you don't have the ability to give them sodium pentothal or chemical means of persuasion. Is there anything you can do besides torture?
well, I guess you can offer. I mean, like they offered, like in the Korean War, they offered $100,000 to any pilot that flew a MiG into, and that one guy did it.
But what good is money to a zealot?
Well, you try to find one that's not a zealot, and they did. The one guy did give us a MiG-15.
Really, for
Yeah.
$100,000,
Uh-huh.
huh?
Yeah. So
Back
they
then,
offered
that was a lot of money.
Oh yeah, it was 1951, 50. That was during the Korean War.
I'm just saying that torture, in my opinion, you can't consider it reliable. It doesn't work the same on every person, every method. You know,
But you wouldn't even try it.
I mean, I might. See, that's what I'm saying. I'm not saying I'm going to rule it out. I'm just not saying I'm
Right.
even against torture. I'm just kind of debating the backs and forth pros and cons of it. Devil's advocate to you guys who are obviously ready to take a fucking pliers to somebody's nipples. You know what I mean? That's what it sounds like over here.
But are you ready to endorse pedophilia?
No, not even a
Okay,
little.
good. All right. Well, just making sure.
Endorse?
Not yet, he isn't.
Endorse and advocate.
Not yet. It's too early in the season for
Well,
endorsement.
remember what was I guess the most famous recent would be wasn't it Inglourious Bastards? Remember, he put the map in front of the German, and he wants to die for his country, indulge him or whatever. Remember that? that
I only saw that movie once and didn't like it.
Well, but you remember what I'm talking about? Where they
No.
hit him with the baseball bat and killed him.
Yeah.
That dude hit a lot of people in that movie with the ball bat, to be fair.
But that's why the first time you saw him, they put the map in front of the German, tell us where your troops are, and now, I don't know. Would they know that he's telling the truth? I guess there's no way to prove it.
Yeah, especially after you've hit him with a ball bat.
Well, that was the threat.
Didn't they hit him with it, though?
No, he
Oh,
didn't.
okay.
He said no. He goes, fuck you. Remember that? The German?
No, I don't.
Yeah, it's very good English.
See, I was pissed off about that movie because they completely changed history at the end of it.
Well, of course, but I'm just saying they used that's kind of what we would call, if not outright, well, it's outright torture, but that's
No, I would with
And I'm sure
threatening
that
somebody
happened.
threatening somebody with injury. That's the definition of torture right there. Injuring them or threatening them to injure, or threatening to injure someone they know. That's torture.
Well, I'm going to kind of try to get you to make a decision there. Do you?
Well, give me some scenarios. Make me break. Make me say, yeah, I'll torture somebody over this. Give me. Make me seem like a fucking asshole.
Well, for instance, if there were numerous reports of a terrorist attack that's imminent, and
it's my job.
Yeah.
To
and
get
you
information.
Caught somebody that you think has information as to a bomb somewhere, and that there's a time limitation.
See, I don't know personally that I have the stomach to do that to someone. In a fight, sure, I'll beat somebody up. I'm angry, I'll fight you and hit you. But I don't know that I could calmly and coolly continue to inflict a pain on someone like that. That's my problem. Even if I'm mad, I don't know how mad I could be for any set amount of time to keep me in a mindset where I could continue to hurt someone like that.
Let me give you guys.
Gotta poke your ego. I guarantee I could do it. I could make you torture me.
Yeah, but that's not the thing. Okay, so say it's just you and one other person. And without a continual stimuli to keep you mad, it'd be hard in my opinion. I don't think you're the type of psychopath who can sit there and fucking do the dance from Reservoir Dogs with the ear. Here I am stuck in. That's not you. You're not the type of person who is a torturer. I don't think so. I know I'm not. Without something continually prodding me and keep me going and reminding me why I'm doing this, I don't think I could do it.
I think out of all the people there's only 3 of us, but I probably am a torturer, and I'll tell you why. I want to get your opinion on this.
I don't doubt that.
I was going to tell you guys this story before, but I want to surprise you.
Oh boy.
And all our glorious
Gimme.
listeners that want to see me take it up. But anyway, when I was an intern at what's the army?
Cedar
base?
Sinai.
No, it's an army base.
Scott Air Force Base.
No, about 100 miles
said
south.
Army.
Edmonds Air Force
Army.
Base.
It's an Army.
That's Air Force.
Woodruff
Scott Air Force
Reserves.
Base. No, that's Air Force.
Anyway, down in Missouri, I'll think of it. Anyway,
Whitman?
Leonard Wood.
Lejeune.
Fort Leonard Wood.
That's Air Force.
Fort Leonard Wood. No, that's Army.
I was saying.
What about Fort Leonard Wood?
Okay, I'm doing an internship at Fort Leonard Wood.
I got it.
Okay, right? Correct. Yeah, very good. With no prompting.
No,
so I'm down there at Fort Leonard Wood, and it's my podiatry internship, and it's in the middle of the summer, and a lot of these guys are doing basic training. Now, this is a true story. Remember this. And I was told, because, we're supposed to see these guys, and it was hotter than hell out there, and these guys are in basic, and apparently they're trying to discourage these guys from coming to the hospital for what they would consider trivial problems. Okay? So here's what they told me to do. If a guy comes in with an ingrown nail, you remove that nail, but do not use anesthetic, because they wanted it to hurt so fucking bad.
That's torture.
Right. They wanted it to hurt so fucking bad that the guy would go and tell everybody else,
Hold on.
don't come in
That's
here.
against the Hippocratic Oath, isn't it?
Not necessarily.
You should
I'm
not
doing it
cause
for his
pain.
own good.
You will not cause pain. That's the Hippocratic Oath.
How is
That's
that
not
his
the
own
Hippocratic
good?
Oath. That's not the Hippocratic Oath. About pain.
What's the closest thing?
First, do no harm.
Do no harm. That's doing harm.
No, I'm helping them, but it hurts like hell. There's a lot of things I do that hurt. Although I could assuage that by putting the toe to sleep, but they expressly told me do not use anesthetic, and I didn't. And I'm tearing off literally pieces of toenail. And these guys, I gave them something to bite on because it hurts. But nobody came in there that didn't really have a problem because they didn't want to come into air conditioning and flirting with nurses, and it was
I mean,
so that's torture.
I think it's
Is that
torture if you have the ability to and don't use it.
Okay.
You have no
Just
reason
checking.
to withhold it other than a behavioral modification. That's exactly, you're trying to modify their behavior if they think it's okay to come in for whatever reason to come into the doctor's office.
Okay, there you go. But that's a
Yeah,
true story.
That's the same thing as putting a choke collar on your dog.
So should I be?
Should
I be prosecuted
so
by?
hang on.
I'm calling Geneva.
Here's the thing. It's not as easy, in my opinion. Did you have?
Do you have the area
Did
code?
you want to give them anesthetic?
Yeah, it was easier for me. I don't want them squirming all over
You
the
think
place.
Jack Bauer wanted to shock the shit out of that guy's chest that one time? No, the government made him do
I
it.
didn't derive any pleasure from making these poor
Would
guys
you have got
squirm.
caught? Would you have got caught if you had used anesthetic?
I couldn't. They didn't have any.
Oh, so they didn't
Oh,
have
okay.
Yeah, they have to
well,
give it
never
to
mind.
you.
No,
Yeah,
I mean,
there was
yeah,
not.
it
There
is
was
what
never
it
a
is at that
choice.
point. Fuck you gonna do?
Yeah, at that point, what are you going to do?
Right.
What the fuck are you gonna do?
But if you're withholding it, that's definitely.
Yeah, that's what I was. That's where I was getting at. Like, was there anesthetic there, Armand? Like, could you have like fucking helped these guys, or were you just told
That's
not
right.
to?
No.
So-
I pulled off their toenails and
So Nomad
playing
Wander's
with
trying
myself while I
to
did it.
introduce into the chat the scenario that somebody has kidnapped my kid. There's the breaking point. Somebody has kidnapped my kid.
Well, that's the classic. Yeah. Okay.
Fuck, I don't know what I'd do, dude. I would put a gun to their head. Like, could I continue to beat somebody? No. Could I put a gun to your head?
Well, that's torture, isn't it?
Yes,
the
it
threat
is.
of- the
So I
threat
guess
of-
yes, you're right.
If you've got my kid and the information that you have
I couldn't do
depends
the-
on it, I'm beating you for days.
You're right.
Weeks.
See, I don't think
months.
I'm not a beater at that point.
Oh, I won't
think,
kill you.
You know,
You're
I probably would
telling
get
me.
to the point where I would probably be a lot more sinister than what you guys would be.
Well, you know me, I have to bring
No.
in movies. I guess, would you say, like Dirty Harry? Remember the first one? Where
Yeah.
the girl supposedly was suffocating, and he's stepping on Scorpio. He shot Scorpio and stepped on the bullet wound.
I didn't see that.
Where is he? Where's the girl?
No,
Where's the girl?
I got one better for you, Armand.
Okay.
Best movie scene torture of all time.
Okay, go ahead.
Casino Royale.
Oh God, that was painful. You remember that where he had that ball and that rope that he would.
I got a
Let him
vivid
describe it.
description.
It's his
of this
movie.
one.
Let him.
So Armand, imagine that chair you're sitting in is just the frame, and the middle of the seat is
Hey,
cut
on the
out,
mic, maybe.
and you're naked.
And don't chew.
And the middle of the seat is cut out. You're naked, and everything that makes you a man's hanging down there underneath.
Okay.
This guy's got like a tow rope with a knot on the end of it, like this big.
Okay.
And he winds it up, bam, right up underneath your seat, and tortures you. And this thing's
That's pretty
15
bad.
pounds
Oh, I doubt
on
it was
the
that
end.
much.
I mean, it's fucking big. What do you think? That's the worst
Well,
movie
it's kind of like
torture.
Goldfinger too, right? With the laser.
Yeah, I mean that's a
You
psychological.
expect me to
torture.
talk?
No, Mr. Bond, I expect you to die.
Very, very good.
Yeah.
So I don't know, but that'd probably be better. Yeah, I think I'd rather have the laser than that. That's pretty.
You
Well,
know what? You know what
let's
James
talk
Bond
about
said
some
to
of
him in that movie?
What'd he say?
What in Casino Royale?
Yeah, he was specifically the Craig
Oh, I remember
Daniel
what he
Craig.
says. Yeah.
He's like, no. After he hits him, and he's like, what, Mr. Bond? You have something to say? He's like, no, to the left. He said it's funny because everyone's gonna die. Everyone's gonna know you died itching my nuts.
He said that.
Yeah,
The
right to
Englishman's?
him while he was doing it,
That's
dude.
what-
Seems out of
I'm not-
character.
James
for
Bond was
James
in a
Bond.
James Bond was in a wheelchair for weeks after that.
A lot of those movies are out of character for James Bond,
Yeah.
but it's James Bond of the 21st century.
All right. So anyway, I think I don't know if you still answered the question that was posed. If your child was kidnapped and to save your child, you would do it.
See, I don't know that I'm mentally able to do that. I would put a gun to someone's head and ask them several times, where the fuck's my kid? Who's involved? Try to get
But
whatever
you
I
couldn't
can.
strike him with a hand.
I
or-
probably would hit him with it, but I'm not the
With
type of
a
guy.
hammer on his hands.
Ooh.
I couldn't continuously do it. I might, in one quick, tell me where the fuck she is, whack. But I don't think I could continually just, where's it at, and continue that, like a fucking systematic this finger, then this finger, and then that finger. Like, you know.
Well, that's why I think
I don't think
waterboarding
I
is
have
so
that.
effective and
I would
so
just shoot
useful.
the person and kill them. They don't tell me, I'll shoot you once in the
You
fucking leg.
kill him,
and
you
then in
don't
the
get
head.
the information you need.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I'd not be good at it. I really wouldn't be good at it.
Oh, I would.
But wouldn't it be more effective and probably easier on everybody if you just waterboarded him? That's what I'm saying. I don't think that's torture. I don't consider that torture.
That's
maybe you don't have
fucking
time for
absolutely torture, Armand.
So you know what we got to do? We got to waterboard Armand.
Basically.
No, I'd rather be pegged.
No,
No,
can you
no,
see
we're not-
how
I'm not pegging
we go take a ride before the podcast, waterboard Armand live on air, and then we taped a murder. We fuck up. That's what's going to happen. We go take a
Let's
ride
kill
before-
Armand next week.
Right.
on air.
Take
And,
off my toenail with no
Are
anesthesia.
you up for this? Next week we waterboard you and maybe
I'm
kill
gonna
you?
be out of town. I got to go to a barbecue.
Come on, Armand. It's not
Memorial
torture.
Day.
You pussy, it's not torture.
Yeah, come on,
How
Armand.
much are you going to pay me? I mean, I might do it for
I'm
money.
not paying you. It's
No,
for
we
the,
need to
the
get.
show.
We're gonna
You're-
get information from you.
We're
I
making-
bet
how
you
about
we
this?
can get
All
your
right,
bank account.
I admit it.
number.
I'm gay.
I bet we no. I bet we can get your bank account number out of
do
you,
it.
Armand. What if someone
I
was,
love being pegged.
How much waterboarding would it take for you to give up your bank account number?
Oh, that'd be a lot. I think I can stand up to
See,
that.
that's what we got to do.
All right.
So next week, here's what we're
You know
gonna
what you're
do.
dealing with, brother.
Let's torture you till you give up your online banking information. I'm not gonna do nothing with it.
No, but they will.
I'm not gonna put it online. We'll have somebody ready to block that shit out. Okay, I guess we are gonna put it online. You better not give up. If it's not torture, you shouldn't give up.
All right, so it is torture.
So it is torture.
I'm just saying. I want to make a comparison, though. Is it okay? He's talking about shooting people in the knee. You know, have you heard of the Irish six-pack?
No.
Two in each knee, one in each knee, one in each shoulder, one in each elbow.
Wow.
That's what the IRA does to you.
They don't
Really?
fuck around over there.
Irish six-pack. Yep. Now, would you rather be that or waterboarded? I think I'd take the waterboard.
But that
Yeah.
doesn't mean waterboarding's not torture.
Yeah, it's just degrees of torture.
Okay, well then
Well,
I,
Where,
I
as
think
I
we're all
said
set.
earlier, where
Right,
do we
that's
draw
what
the
just-
line?
right.
Where's the line
I
in the
think-
sand, and where do you draw
Can
it?
you? How about this? Whenever the IRA does something like that,
Mm-hmm.
it's two things. It's punishment for the person they're doing it to, right? You got to figure that's one reason. It's not a
It's usually for a traitor or somebody that gives up information
right,
or whatever.
but it's more for the rest of the populace.
that too.
So, are you torturing the entirety of the populace whenever you give somebody an Irish six-pack like that by basically psychologically telling them the entirety of the populace at one time, this is what's going to happen to you?
I don't know if you're
That's a
torturing
form
the-
of mass torture, in my opinion. Mass psychological torture. It's the same thing as whenever somebody kidnaps your child and does something to them. It's a little, it's way less of a degree.
Well, what about
Right.
public? Remember public? When I went down to Montserrat when I was going down to medical school down there before, the month before I missed it, but the month before I was there, they had a public hanging. Now, what do you think about that? Now, is that I assume that's torture, but is
Fucking- yeah.
is it better to do it in front of everybody? So they say, wait, because the guy was a murderer apparently, and they hanged him.
I mean, they've been
right
doing
in front
that.
of everybody.
It's the same thing as stoning or guillotining. The public execution is basically, at the end of the day, the question, right?
Is it effective?
It's hard to say. Is capital punishment at all an effective form of
I would say if you're going to do it,
Timothy
though, I think it's more
Hamilton's
effective
deterrent.
being. Wouldn't you say being? You have to watch this grisly thing and say, "Wow, I'll never do anything that would." Whereas you just read about somebody getting the gas chamber or something, and
I guess for some
watch
people,
it. Yeah, that,
yeah,
I guess
that's
some
that's the whole
people
purpose.
need to see that,
Right.
and then you got to figure. I guess some people need to see that for it to become real. But for me, the fact if you tell me I'm going to go under the guillotine if I kill someone is enough for me not to want to kill someone. But apparently, they think that the masses have to see this happen to somebody before it's a real punishment.
Right. Well, that in effect that makes it, I think, more effective. Hence,
And is that torture against
Useful.
the populace?
no, I don't think so.
Because you're psychologically
You may be
fucking with them,
saving
and
people.
You're using some sort of a means to change behavior, whether it's by their own family or somebody in their own society, a peer. At that point, it's just a peer, and this is what we'll do to you. You are the same as this peer. We're telling everybody out here, this is what's going to fucking happen if you fucking break this rule.
Okay. Was that one of the one of your definitions that they have?
Yeah, well, it's doing
How'd they
pain to
go?
you or the threat of a pain to another person. I mean, it's the same thing. Doing it to one person, that's not torture to you. But doing it to that person is a threat of pain against everyone. Isn't it?
it's public.
Exactly. This is not just we're doing it to this guy. That's happening. But this is a threat to the rest of you, is what that is.
Well, I think that's what the mafia used to do too. I mean, if they get two guys, they shoot one guy, and you're next.
You see that in any kind of movie, too. Like in the casino movies, they'll beat the fuck out of the one guy and break both of his hands.
Right.
And then the other guy, they just got to tell. You know what I mean?
They do what?
You set the example first.
Ah, yeah.
Well, remember the Robert De Niro. You can have your hand, or you can have the money. You can't walk out of here with both.
Right.
Remember that?
Yeah, what are you taking, Armand? Hand or money?
Give me. I don't know. That's a tough. How much money?
25 G's.
No,
Taking your hand.
You're not letting them
No.
break your hand for 25
not
G's?
25.
You're a
I'm
doctor,
50.
though. You do surgeries.
$50,000 to let him hit you with a ball
No,
peen
not
hammer on the
50.
100.
One strike.
100 grand?
100,000 to let him smack. And then when
He didn't hit him once. He
No,
hit him
he
about
said-
5
I'm
times.
talking one strike.
once to
100
the
grand?
100 grand.
Nah,
Real fucking hard.
Because your surgery is going to be more than
How
that.
much to
At
waterboard
half a
you?
million.
How
Half a
much to
million.
waterboard you next week? Let's cut the brass
Half a million?
tacks. $500,000 for waterboarding?
Oh yeah.
Can you know?
Nah.
Can you see if we can get that? Can we
Anybody
put in
want-
a requisition?
That's not in the show budget.
Oh.
Can you have a GoFundMe for that? All right.
Ooh.
I think you probably get some. Might
If you
get
gave me
some
a
money.
if you gave me a real number,
I
like
think
a real number,
I
I
think-
think we could figure
Like
this
a
out.
real number.
T would contribute.
I think a lot of people would. Is that legal? To raise
Maybe
money
more
to
people than I
waterboard someone?
think.
No, that's probably illegal.
That's probably. I don't think go. That's
I don't
probably
know
against
how-
GoFundMe's rules.
All right.
But
Well, let's get
you
to the next
probably
subject
can't
then. If it's
raise money to-
voluntary, it's like David Carradine or a masochist or
BDSM basically.
Okay. What about
sadomasochism.
that?
It's not torture
That's
because it's
not
not
torture.
psychological.
It's
at all.
voluntary.
And you're not trying to get from them anything that they wouldn't want to give up.
But you saw my back. You don't think that
So-
qualifies as torture?
Armand had an encounter last night where he got a little scraped up, we'll say, on his anterior,
No, posterior.
or his posterior,
my
sorry.
dorsal fin.
And he wanted to know if that's torture. No, it's not torture because you're kind of
loved
asking
every
for it.
minute of it.
You're asking for it.
Yeah.
But if she had you tied down
Begging.
and you said, no, don't scrape me, and she did it, even if it's just for her enjoyment, that's her will over yours, and that's torture.
Okay, got it. All right.
But you enjoyed it, so that's not her will over yours.
yeah, but it kind of hurts today.
Well, you're just a sissy. You can't handle your
Yeah.
sessions, pal. Sack up.
I don't have the strength of my convictions.
You wanted it, you got it.
real good and hard.
All right, you guys want to go through some actual torture methods that's been used throughout the ages?
that's
Torture
fun.
devices? Those are always fun.
I do.
Eric, what do you got? I know you got a couple good lists. So
The
run them down.
rack.
Well, of
I
course,
really
yeah.
like the rack.
Yeah, that's one of the funnest parts about this episode beforehand was like, I can't wait to describe some of these. If you've never heard of them, what
I
is
think
the rack?
everybody. Go ahead. But.
You'd think most people have heard of the
Really?
rack. You'd think that.
Okay, go ahead.
Well,
I'm
no,
surprised.
Everett tells me I'm wrong, but I was always under the impression it was when they tied you up and fucking like pulled you apart almost, just pulled and pulled
They
with horses.
dislocated your
It was
shoulders.
cranked, though,
Yeah,
not
right.
with horses. You were thinking with horses, right?
Well,
Yeah, I was
that's
thinking
what
with
you're
horses.
drawing.
I think that's quartering.
Right, drawing quartering.
Yeah.
So that's the difference we had there. But anyway, the rack.
So the rack is a table then
Well,
that they have a bar
at
on
an
the top
angle.
that they hook your
Yeah.
fucking chains into and crank on.
Right,
and then
you're
just
shackled
pull you
and-
apart.
Yeah, the ropes. Well, basically, they'll dislocate your shoulders. What happens?
Shoulders,
usually.
ligaments, they'll tear ligaments,
Yeah.
Hips.
ankles, any joints. It's basically to pop your major joints apart.
Now, what also does that is the strapato, on which you don't have on here.
Oh, what's
where
the
they
strapato?
put your hands behind your back. They're tie your hands behind your back, and they lift you
Oh my god.
by your from behind,
Oh
and they
my
drop you,
God.
and that dislocates both your shoulders.
Yeah.
So it's basically the arm version of getting hung.
The
That
hammer
kinda-
lock.
Short
kinda,
drop
but
and a hard
it's
pop.
A drop, yeah.
It's a hammer lock.
Yeah, and they lift
Oh,
you by
Kimura.
That's exactly right.
Double wrist
Both
lock.
at one time.
Oh, double Kimura for the pop.
All the way
yeah,
up.
all the way up. They lift you up from behind. They
And
drop
think
you.
about that. They turn too as you.
So,
That was-
okay, people, here's how to explain this if you're listening.
That's terrible.
Put your arms down straight at your side. Move one arm up behind your back at a 90
Like
degree.
you got
then the
handcuffs
other.
on. Just think like you got
Yeah,
handcuffs on.
And then somebody takes your hands and
Ties
moves
them around a rope.
directly up the center of your back until your shoulders pop out.
Right, the rope hangs from like a frame, and they just crank you up, and then when they get you up high enough, they just drop you.
Oh.
Yeah, that was one of the favorite devices of the Inquisition, by the way. Yeah,
That's
Oh, the
fucking
Inquisition.
terrible.
yeah, and if so there you go.
What's your
That
next
was
one,
the
Eric? That's a good
strapato.
one.
Jesus Christ. Rat torture. I really liked rat torture too. You know what that is?
Could you do rat torture to someone? Could you hold
That's
that
pretty
and,
nasty.
and allow
if
someone?
it's what I think.
Yeah, it depends on the situation.
Oh,
but
this is the question for the rest of these. Could you employ this method?
Could you?
That's
Could
what I
I
wanna know.
rat torture somebody? Absolutely. So what you do is you take a metal pail, take a big fucking hungry rat, set it on somebody's stomach, put the metal pail down onto the stomach over the rat, hold the top, take a blowtorch, and light that fucking pail on fire. The rat's gonna look for the
Eating
only
its
way out.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
You could do that.
Yeah, fuck yeah. It depends on the torture, though. I mean, like, it depends
That's
on the
pretty-
situation. Like, it has to be like, no, I'm not. I mean, do I got stake in the matter? Like, this guy just killed another guy. No, I'm not torturing him. Send him to the fun cops.
So, if it's a third level, like the third level need for torture, the worst of the worst need to torture someone, you could do that.
Oh, yeah.
Well, what would be the worst on this list? Would you say?
I don't know.
That's pretty bad.
That's pretty bad. What's your next one? We'll know it when we get there. I think
Bamboo under the fingernails.
that's a bad motherfucker right there.
Well, I've employed something like that.
Yeah. God damn, Armand.
Fort
Did
Leonard
they, did
would.
they scream and shriek?
No, I gave them something to bite on, but they were growling, boy. Let me tell you, I know it hurt.
So the bamboo under the fingernails.
But I did it quickly. That's the one thing. I mean, I got very good at doing it very quickly.
That's basically
was
just
over before
they
you knew
carve
it.
like a long ass toothpick or a skewer and just shove it right up under the middle of your nail, right?
And sometimes they light them. They put it on there, stick it in there, and then light it. Yeah, light it on fire.
Oh, it's under there and then they light it?
Yeah.
That's like the match between the toes from the cartoons, but
Yeah,
way worse.
Lives of Bengal Lancer. Remember that
haven't seen
movie I
that.
asked you to put on?
I don't know what
I
you're
asked
talking
you, but you didn't.
No.
But
I ask you what you did.
but
Anyway.
there's a scene depicting that. Yeah.
We also-
Poor Gary Cooper.
We also had waterboarding, but we already talked about that.
Okay.
Drug torture.
Hold on. Go through waterboarding real quick. What is the exact definition of the process of waterboarding?
Well, I don't have it in front
They
of me
put
like
a towel
Wiki.
on. No,
But what
they put you on a
they
table.
put you
a
on a
towel and they
table.
pour water on the towel, and apparently it mimics
Because-
drowning.
Yeah, well, because you think about it, you're trying to breathe through the towel.
Right.
Only thing you can breathe in is fucking water.
Right.
Because you're trying to breathe through the
and it's
towel.
scarier than what it
the
really,
trick
you
is
know,
the
yeah.
towel is tight on your face.
Right,
You know what I mean?
right.
You could probably hear that you're not on your microphone if you had your headset on, too.
You know what I mean? Like, it's got to be tight on your face for that. That's
Sure.
why. So you can try to breathe through that little hole in the towel.
Well, that's what you're trying to do.
So you're trying to
Yeah.
suck wet air through the towels,
Yeah.
basically.
You're not getting anything, but it doesn't
Torture.
take long, apparently.
Yeah.
I'd still rather have that than some of these other. I mean, the strapato.
Can we do that next week? We don't have to like tie you down. You can get up anytime you want. But I'd like to see how long you can voluntarily be waterboarded until you say, "Okay, this is enough. I'm getting up."
Yeah, we'd have to set standards like you go for 30 seconds, we
I'm
give
willing
you
to do the
15-second
research
break,
and
and then
into
give
the
you
top
30 more
waterboarding
seconds of
techniques.
waterboarding.
Hold on, I'm willing to do the research on top waterboarding techniques to see what the pros have done and employ those same methods on Armand to see how long he could last.
I'm not saying I'm immune to it or tougher than like our SEALs who have to undergo it. Although I say when I was in ROTC, they made us go into the chemical tent for when we did the thing,
Like,
and
yeah,
they had
tear
tear
gas
gas
type
in
of
there.
thing?
Yeah, and they take off your mask, and we had to sing our college fight song and give our name. And yeah, it was
Now, would you
pretty
consider
long, 30
that
seconds.
to be torture?
Okay.
Whenever they tell you to go into the tent and do the gas.
Take off your mask. You had to take off your mask.
What happens if you don't?
I don't know. Nobody didn't. Nobody.
That's
refused.
that's a great question. What happens if you don't? Because
That's how I
you
know
can
if
say
it's
they're not
torture or
forcing
not.
you.
That's how I know it's torture or not.
Right? They say
I
you're
need to know what
not
happens
forced to
if you
do this,
don't.
but if they
I don't
flunk you
recall
out,
anybody turning it down. I've just.
if you get flunked out though, then it's torture. You're
Yeah.
forced to do this, or you have to leave.
Yeah, it's a if then then.
Well, then it used to be. I mean, the Marines, they had those pugil sticks. They beat the hell out of each other with them. And you had to do that.
Yeah, I feel like that's practice though
Yeah,
for
but
engaging
still,
in
a couple
combat.
people died doing that. There have been deaths.
Jousting like that
With those pugil sticks? Oh, yeah.
I used to watch American Gladiators. They killed 2 or 3 guys a week on that show. Maybe.
I mean, what's in the end of those? It just seemed like a big Q-tip.
Yeah,
to
but I
me.
think there was like some kind of like group
They have
thing where
smaller
they're-
ones in the army and in the armed forces.
Well, now I got this from a guy who was in the Marines, but apparently they had like teams or whatever, and they're like kill, and they beat a guy to death. Several of them were hitting him with it, and they actually did kill him. That's what he said.
And when you turn on that killer instinct, sometimes it's hard to turn it off.
Well, that's what they're trying to make out of you.
Yeah.
Automaton
Making
killing
a
machine.
murderer.
So anyway, waterboard. I don't know. Waterboarding out of all these, to me, I think I'd take it. The breast ripper doesn't sound like fun.
No, the breast stripper was like something that they set in the fire. It had 4 claws on it like this.
It's the crane game.
Yeah, there you go. It's like
Very
the
good.
crane game that drops down,
yeah.
but that sort
The
of
iron
device.
claw, yeah.
Except you
They'd
grabs your
get it
titty.
red hot, and they'd put it on a woman's naked breast, and then crank it down with like a little nut and screw, and it would go right into there, and then
Well, now they also had something
the
like
breast ripper.
What was the what was that called? The Chinese shoe or whatever, where they screw the thing and the shoe gets
Yeah, there's the
squashes your foot and
Spanish
breaks
shoe,
off.
the
Is that
Chinese
what it's called,
shoe.
the
Yeah,
Spanish
there's
shoe?
a bunch of them.
Yeah.
Oh, fuck that.
Podiatric
Those
nightmare.
blow your shins out. They say they make your shins explode. Squeeze you so much pressure on there that your shins pop.
I wouldn't doubt it. Yeah, 'cause
Really?
That's where the pressure is going to go. You're going to go
Yeah.
into your ankle up the tissue planes.
Fuck.
So yeah, they crank those up. I think that's what they supposedly did to Joan of Arc.
They lit her on fire though. Didn't they light her on fire? I
Well,
thought?
that's how they killed her. But they were trying to extract a confession that she was a heretic.
Yeah.
She couldn't be a witch because she was a virgin. She could only be a heretic.
Really, I didn't.
There is a
realize that.
distinction. Yes, you can't be a witch if you're a virgin.
Be a son of a bitch. Witch in training.
No, you're a heretic.
Future witch.
Nope. That's
Anyway.
by definition.
Padawan. Okay.
I don't know what that means.
Chinese water
And-
torture. This is more psychological, but the Chinese water
There you go.
torture, where you lay down on and it just drip,
Right.
Right into your forehead, between
Fu
your eyes.
Manchu did
it's
that.
supposed to make you crazy.
Yeah, in those Fu
I-
Manchu movies. Yeah.
Oh, no shit?
Oh yeah, yeah.
If we had the time, I'd like to do that in a competitive setting with you.
Who
oh,
could
I'd
take it
fuck
longer?
you up.
You think? You think
That's
you
why
could take it
we were
longer?
going to start a YouTube channel one time. What was
The
the
Better
Better
Brother
Brother show? And we were just literally going to compete at things against each other.
Stupid shit.
that's-
Like see who could take torture the longest.
Yeah, or who could eat the most Jack in the Box tacos, sit down one time, one sitting,
I'd
boom.
watch that. That'd be good.
You know what I mean? And like, I feel like it'd be pretty good.
But anyway, I think I could take more Chinese water torture than you.
You're wrong.
You could
You're
obviously
wrong,
use
Mox.
this torture, but would you use this torture? This torture to me seems completely ineffective and way too fucking long term to be
It's-
useful.
It seems Hollywood to
But
me.
if you're getting a kick out of it, I mean, this is more for the torturers.
You get a
fun,
kick out.
fun
Oh,
for them.
how hot is it to watch somebody get a drip?
Well,
or
I don't know.
drip,
It
drip?
takes longer, and I guess you can.
I don't know, man. I guess
Now
How about
there's-
the pit and the pendulum? Remember the pendulum?
yeah, where it could slowly cut your
Yeah,
gut.
yeah.
You know that
Remember
one?
that one from
It's a-
Edgar Allan Poe?
Yeah, oh yeah.
Yeah. That's a good one. Again, that's pretty hardcore if you have that laying around to make.
Music torture.
That was what they used on Noriega, I think. Right? Didn't they play?
Shit. Oh
we
yeah.
can dance if we want to.
No, they didn't play that song.
What did they?
Friends
Did they play
behind.
Def Leppard?
That's Biodome for
Oh, let's
anyone.
find out.
They kept playing. They kept real loud. I mean, that's how they tortured Noriega.
Let's see. The
Was it Def
Noriega-
Leppard?
Danielle, I have not breastfed
I
a
don't
baby,
know.
so the breast ripper still sounds bad.
Yeah, I agree. Danielle, you're right.
I'm looking here. Okay, they got Danger Zone by Kenny Loggins.
Really? That's what they played?
Oh no, there were several. There was a whole
Okay.
playlist. Oh,
That's not that bad.
That's a good song.
Yeah.
just hit
not
it for
too
me. the
bad.
Stupid.
That's on a
website.
torture list? Are you fucking shitting me?
I thought it was.
Bring on the torture, baby.
Shit.
How about the Iron Maiden? Speaking of rock and roll, Iron Maiden. Remember that?
Yeah, I don't think that's
That's the
torture
thing with-
either.
You don't think the Iron-
That's the thing with all the spikes where they.
No,
Oh,
put you
that?
in-
No. Yeah,
Yeah, the
I thought you
Iron
were talking
Maiden.
about Iron Maiden, the band.
So actually,
well, that's where
earlier
they got
today,
it.
Eric and I were looking up some of these devices, and I didn't quite get the Iron Maiden before because it just seems like to me an instant death machine. You get inside, you get
Probably.
pain cushion.
No,
That's not what they
That's
do with
not
it.
what it is at all.
Okay,
There's
what do they-
room for you to stand in there.
Oh, that's
but
right.
It's so fucking small
Correct.
that the spikes are touching you. They're just
Yeah,
not penetrating.
that's right, that's
And
right.
there's a hole where the guy that's torturing you and asking you questions can poke you through the fucking hole to where you're like,
You jump into the spikes yourself.
and you just literally fucking,
Ooh, yeah, you flinch and you're
yeah.
That's good torture there when you
fiendishly
fucking
clever.
hurt yourself.
Yeah.
yeah.
You watch Game of Thrones at all?
No.
Man, there's some crazy good, so to speak, torture in that show. I had Eric watch a clip to kind of get us in the mood for the show today, where a character named Ramsey Snow, and eventually Ramsey Bolton, spoiler alert, is torturing this guy for no other reason than basically just torture him. He enjoys it. So he plays a game with him. If you can guess why I'm torturing you, who I am, and why I'm torturing you, you win and I'll let you go. But if I can get you to beg me to cut your finger off, then I win. It was
an interesting bargain.
Man. Dude. I don't know where I'm going with it, but it was
old
messed
boy
up.
won.
Well, that's a Japanese.
Yeah, old boy won. Exactly right. He begged
him to cut his finger.
Isn't that the Japanese yakuza? If you dishonor, you fuck up, you got to cut off your own pinky.
I don't know. It makes sense. That's where they samurai would have to.
A lot of those guys are walking around four fingers.
Is that what they called it?
Well, that's where you kill yourself. Yeah, you fall on your sword. Seppuku. Yeah, but this is like if you dishonor the family or you do something like it's an offense, they give you the knife and you got to cut off your own finger.
Better be a sharp one to go through the bone. I would rather have a meat cleaver.
They say self-inflicted pain is like 5 times worse than somebody else doing it.
Oh, yeah. I would rather have a meat cleaver. What do you think?
Probably, yeah.
Like instead of just a knife?
I'll make it as quickly as possible.
For your
cigar
finger?
cutter, like,
Scar cutter might even be
What
meat
movie
cleaver,
was it where a guy... Oh,
'cause-
Darkman. Did you ever see Darkman with Liam Neeson? The main villain of that movie used a cigar cutter on people.
Is that what it? Yeah.
Yeah. It was Robert Durant, if you know who that actor is. He's pretty... Not well
I'm sure I'd know if I saw him.
Pretty sure that's his name.
I do not.
How do you not know who Robert Durant is?
Well, I'm from the me 30s and 40s. That's
but
I know every character actor from that. But
phobia torture.
This guy.
Armand, do you have any phobias?
No,
what are you scared of? So I couldn't torture you with spiders.
No, I don't really.
Snakes.
Insects don't bother
Snakes.
me.
I couldn't have a snake. I couldn't use a snake. Torture of a snake. We got to keep going to this. What about
I knew a guy
water
that
torture won't scare you. You're not
real
afraid
problem
of
with
drowning.
frogs.
What about?
That's fucking weird.
What about we're in a plane and I'm threatening to drop you?
I don't like heights. Yeah, I don't like heights.
So that might be the way to get to Armand. We'll take him up to the water tower and we're going to throw you the fuck off unless you give me your bank account info. We're going to get his bank account info.
Yeah, for sure.
We just got to figure out how. That's what this whole story is about. We heard about Armand being on Millionaire.
And his Bitcoin wallet.
Yeah, what?
He invested heavily when it dropped, I'm sure.
He's got all that Bitcoin money.
He's got Bitcoin.
I wish.
What's your next one, E.T.?
Pharmacological torture.
Yeah.
All right,
So
you have to describe that.
Yeah, using LSD or something pentothal. Or some sort of way to make you see something you wouldn't normally see for the purpose of fucking scaring you into doing something you wouldn't normally do, be it talking or acting a certain way.
Okay. So would you put the truth serum?
Yeah, that seems like an
that's
easy
under
one.
that. That's under that.
But let me ask you this: there was an episode of Star Trek: The Next Generation, or not Next Generation.
He's right.
Deep Space
Sweaty
Nine.
dolphins. Right. Pegging is a phobia of mine. I have nightmares about it. All right.
Star Trek: Deep Space Nine.
Yeah.
There was an episode where Miles O'Brien, the transporter chief or whatever, any which way, he gets accused of a crime, and before you know it, he's convicted, and they're starting the punishment. In this society, they implant 20 years worth of memories in his head of being in a cell. And these memories were calculated to fuck with him this whole time. He had a cellmate for the longest time that he eventually killed over something like hiding food. So is that torture? That's the same thing. That's psychological. They put memories in your head. He got out of that. He barely recognized his family over what he'd been through. He thought in 2 minutes had experienced 20 years.
Well, I think that would qualify. Yeah.
That would be fucked.
Wouldn't it? You come imagine you've spent 20 years, the last 15 of it by yourself. They never talk to you, give you food for maybe once every 10 days. They might feed you, or maybe every day for 5 days. Any which way, you come back now, you got to deal with your daughter. You got to deal with your wife. You've been alone for all this time. That's fucking horrible torture, if you ask me.
There was that Star Trek episode in the original series, which is the only one I'm really familiar with, where they had that machine that induced pain. Now, it didn't hurt you, but
Sure.
they could just fire all
Basically,
your
you
nerve
just
endings.
tell the nerve endings to come
Right,
out.
right.
That's
And
the same thing
no
in my
permanent
opinion.
damage. That's pretty bad.
Whether you're
Yeah.
poking somebody with a knife to turn on that nerve ending, or
Yeah.
using an electronic field to fire that nerve ending, it's the same thing.
Right, but I mean, actually stabbing, hitting, and
What's the
that's
difference there? Breaking the
Well,
skin or
that's where
directly
you're,
accessing
well,
the
that's where
nerve?
you're actually doing permanent damage. They made a point that there is no permanent damage, only the memory of his pain
I gotcha.
lingers. So you could theoretically do that forever.
Yes, because as we discussed earlier, psychological pain is the same thing as physical pain when it comes to torture.
Worst, in my opinion.
Physical pain can go away. Psychological pain, you might not be able to rid yourself
Yeah,
of.
I don't know.
lasts.
Irish six-pack doesn't sound like fun to me. I mean, you're crippled for life. I don't know. That's
Okay, well, what if
A
you
lot
had to
of
watch your
these
whole
things-
family be slowly murdered in front of you?
Well, that's pretty bad. Yeah,
That's
but
pretty
that's permanent.
psychological.
Not to you, but
No, that's what I'm saying. It is permanent. It's just as bad as somebody cutting your hand off, or maybe even worse. That might hurt for a while, but you can get used to it. You can never probably get used to that image of your family getting killed. That's going to haunt you and give you fucking bad dreams for the rest of your life. I know.
Yeah.
Objection, speculation. Probably.
yeah, I would think. Sure.
I mean,
It'd be fucking horrible.
But I'm not sure what the great debate. I think we're saying all these things are awful, but are they justified? I think that's where we're having difficulty. I'm not sure that you think they're ever justified.
Sensory
I
deprivation.
do.
Depends
though.
on-
How can that be torture? Like, explain sensory deprivation to me to a point to
Okay,
where I'm
put
going to
somebody
go,
in
"Oh,
a
fuck
solitary in
that."
a black
Boom.
room.
Say you're in prison. You throw somebody in the hole for a month. You only give them food.
That'd be pretty rough.
No light. They got to shit and piss in the hole.
Okay.
Spend the night in the box.
You think that'd be easy?
Yeah.
You think that'd be easy?
All right, now see now you
I can sleep.
you can put them in my office for 3 or 4 days. That'll because there's no light in there.
You think you could sleep? What if you had you'd have no concept of time? Say you have no sound, you have no light.
Okay.
What if they just cut off your eyes and ears, basically? Not cut them off, but cut off if they could somehow flip a switch and kept you from accessing your senses for 10 days. Imagine that. You can't move, you can't feel. Your brain turns on, but you have no stimuli.
Okay.
Wouldn't that be a torture to you? Wouldn't you think that'd be horrible? Like, you never know how long. You can't hear them saying, you can't hear yourself asking the question, who's there? Why are you doing this to me?
Yeah, and you can't hear what they would say back. You would have no. You
You have
would know.
no, it's like the fucking Metallica 1 song, taking my sight, taking my speech, taking my hearing. You're sitting there, no touch to the outside world. That's
would
fucking
suck.
torture.
I think I'd still opt for that more than some of these, though. Rat torture. I mean, that's got to be the worst. The rack. I don't know. I can't think of anything worse than some of
Okay,
these.
say they did that for a day, turned you off like that, and then they brought you out of it for a couple hours, and then the threat of going back into that.
Well, here again is the question: is it just wanton, just torture for the hell of it, or is
Torture
there
for
actually,
the purpose,
or would
torture
I
for the
talk?
cause.
I'd probably talk.
Is it effective is the question. Would you do it is the question. That's the discussion. So I think that'd be a fucked up one.
I mean,
Which-
here's the
the
other
sensory
problem.
deprivation.
Yeah.
But here's the other problem. What if you knew that once you talk, they'd kill you anyway? I mean,
You might
is
as
it
well
better?
talk. You might as well talk soon.
You think? Just get it over with, huh?
Yeah, I mean, if you know you're going to take an amount of torture before they shoot you, or if you think there's even a chance that you might escape, you don't.
Take it to the limit.
If you think there's no chance you escape,
Somewhere near the razor's
well, that's kind of the
edge.
whole thought of torture breaking you. If you get to the point where you think there's no chance of escape, then they have broken you, and you might as well die. Thought?
Oh yeah, no, I agree, but I would still say there's at some point until it's like the knife's about to go in me or the guillotine's about to come down. I'm gonna try to be like plotting, like
Oh, everybody's tough until that fucking pain turns on. I think, Eric, is what you think you have complete conscience of mind whenever somebody. I don't know, dude. I think until you're in that situation, I don't think you know.
But a lot of
Yeah.
these guys
You
say,
sound like a tough guy right now.
well, but a lot
I'm
of
gonna
these
try.
guys.
Yeah, I'm gonna try anything I can.
Supposedly these guys
I'm
that
gonna
wear the
kidnap you when
Hanoi
you're not
Hilton
expecting
and
it.
the
stuff.
need to survive.
Yeah, but they get inured to this, where their pain tolerance is much greater than you would expect. I mean, after day after day, year after year, I guess these guys they just expected it. Not that it didn't hurt and it wasn't horrible, but
They knew it was.
What about
coming.
Yeah.
the Deer Hunter? You've never seen Deer Hunter, have you?
you've never seen Deer Hunter?
That's
Well, that's a
both
pretty.
tragic and a bummer because it's a good movie. But the scenes where they're in Vietnam
Yeah.
and they've been captured and they're in those pits of water underneath a
With
hut in the middle of the
rats,
jungle,
yeah.
and they bring them up and force them to play.
Russian
Russian
I
roulette
roulette.
saw
against each
that.
other.
Yeah, I've seen that.
Think
Yeah.
about that as psychological torture, even if you get out of that.
Yeah, your buddy had to kill himself for you to live.
Pretty much, and that was half the story of the movie is what it did to Nicky.
Yeah.
Just playing that game, he went back and
Yeah, he
tried
couldn't
to
get
play
enough
it
of
more.
it. Yeah.
It fucked him up so bad he went into the underground Russian roulette scene in Vietnam.
Why?
Well, that was what he.
Dude, imagine the
apparently
shit
it
you
messed
saw.
him up.
You got to rewatch that scene sometime. Just watch their faces and the shit they get. And they know this is basically the end, or we kill these guys or get out. It's such a good movie.
Really?
Yeah, I really liked it.
The deer
That
hunter.
I like that scene. I mean, I wasn't crazy about the rest of it.
I thought
but,
the
you
whole
know,
movie was pretty
Vietnam was good, but I thought the rest a little boring. But that's my opinion.
Well, it's the same. You're probably one of those people who didn't like the second half of fucking Full Metal Jacket either.
Yeah,
I
probably.
thought that. Yeah, that's accurate. Didn't like that either.
Not as much as the first half. It
Well,
wasn't
that's
horrible,
fair, but it's still part of the same
I sure
movie.
liked the first half better.
Yeah, fair
And
enough.
that poor guy died, by the way. Ernie, what's his name?
Vincent D'Onofrio.
No, the guy that played Sergeant.
Arlie
Joker?
Ermey,
Yeah, Arlie Ermey. He just died a couple weeks ago.
Talking about Joker, right?
No,
the
Arlie Ermey.
Sergeant.
You maggot faced.
Oh, that
Yeah.
guy. Yeah, I fucking liked him.
Yeah.
Did you know? Fun fact: he was actually just supposed to coach an actor on what to say, but he was the actual drill sergeant. And he was
Yeah.
like going to come in and coach the actor on what to do in
Right,
in those
right.
scenes.
Yeah, Kubrick pretty much.
and they
fell
were
in love
just
with him.
like, no,
Yeah.
fucking, you're it.
Yeah.
He
Those
was
guys
that.
apparently
he was
were
that good.
laughing and stuff, but it wasn't funny.
real deal for sure.
Yeah.
What's the next one?
Now
on
is
your
that
list?
torture though? I mean, that's pretty much psychological.
In
And he's
that
hitting
movie,
people
yes. He
Yes.
was punching them motherfuckers in the gut.
I
and
think
shit.
that happened. I
again-
think that's pretty true.
That version of training of soldiers is most definitely torture.
But you
Yeah.
say because it's voluntary and they volunteer, does that vitiate the
again,
the
there's
aspect of being a
certain torture, whether it's torture or not, is acceptable.
Well,
Yeah.
you know you're going to go. That's what you're going to get.
Self allowing yourself to be tortured is
Prostitutes
still,
volunteer to do what they do, but they don't volunteer to be raped. I would consider that torture, and that happens. You know what I mean? It's not something
but
that
I'm
they
sure- but
intended, an
some might-
unintended consequence. And that's like when
Well, what
someone
if you
joins
get paid
the
extra to
military.
be spanked and
then they
I
got
know
paid
there-
extra.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there is things that they'll do. If
But
they're
even if
paid.
you got paid extra, at some
Okay.
point in your mind, you can change your mind. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And if you've changed your mind halfway through and the guy doesn't stop,
For instance, American Psycho. Remember that?
I've only
Where they
seen
thought
it
they
twice.
got away with it, and they said, "Wait a minute." Then he brings out he hired the two prostitutes, and they had sex or everything was great, and they're lying there and think, "Wow, this was easy money." And then he brings out
I don't recall. Was it an axe?
Starts talking about
like
Huey
a
Lewis.
flail, and I mean some pretty nasty stuff.
I'm going to have to rewatch that.
And
Yeah,
they
sounds like
didn't
fun.
actually show what he did, but boy, they limped
Right.
out of that room with their tails between their legs. So anyway, but that's.
What else you
again,
got, Eric?
that's all right. Well, BDSM, right? That's
Oxygen deprivation. There's
that's
a scene in the movie
waterboarding, right?
Deadpool that made me think this is a very legitimate fucking
I mean, kind of.
torture. They can put you in like a pressurized tank and control the
Okay,
level of oxygen
nobody
to
has
the point
ever
to where
did
you.
nobody's ever did it that way in the history of doing things. Nobody's ever did.
But
Oxygen.
is that not gnarly?
It's gnarly in the movie, but most of the time they'll take and put a bag over your head. Let's
Okay.
think about it that way.
Yeah, I mean,
Putting-
tomato, man.
Putting your hand over somebody's mouth and nose is the same thing.
Khan did that to Captain Kirk. Remember, he put it in the pressurized chamber and took all the oxygen out.
Again, that was a movie.
Well, it was a
Yeah.
TV series.
Thank you, Armand. Thank you.
Enough of you, sir.
So
Ricardo
there's-
Montalban did it. Can't be all bad.
Welcome to Fantasy Island.
The plane. All right. Well, that would be pretty bad. Oxygen. I mean, because they say like when I remember when I was taking
Same thing as
pathology.
drowning to me.
Well, the guy said he was a smoker. The guy taught us pathology, and he always said, I hope to God I get lung cancer and it kills me in a few weeks, because if I get emphysema and you can't get enough oxygen, that's supposed to be the worst kind of death.
Oh,
These
no
people are
shit.
chronically oxygen
Can't get your breath,
deprived.
just like-
They can't catch their breath. And he said, that's not the way I want to die. So he
Fuck that.
yeah. So
It's the
that's
same
got
thing
to
that
be
was
pretty
waterboarding,
bad.
really. Whether they put a sack over your face
Right. You can't
and
catch
keep
your
you
breath.
from breathing,
literally.
or a wet towel, it's the same thing.
Yeah.
You don't want to die by
Not
suffocating.
emphysema.
It sounds horrible.
You don't want that.
It does sound bad. What about the psychology of someone that is capable to administer some of these?
Yeah,
You don't think
we've
you
kind of
could,
been
huh?
talking about this whole episode is psychology. I guess I could. I don't think I have what it takes to continue a physical assault on someone like that. A calm, collected physical assault. I'm not the type of person who can do that. I
Not-
just know that about
Not
me.
for the hell of it, though. I mean, if we were talking about your son, you still wouldn't be able to hit him,
Put
smack
yourself
him.
in Walking Dead, and this guy's, they're threatening to take over everything you've worked the last
But
3
torture,
years
yes,
to
I
build.
can kill them. That's one thing. To end the threat is one thing. But to torture someone, to do the physical act of a continual administering of pain.
If it could help everybody get
I
out
don't think I can
alive.
stay that angry. I can only do that in anger.
Well, maybe not just hit it, but how about the old, the World War II where they catch the gal and put the electrodes on her tits and crank it up? Could you do that?
I mean, sure.
That's not
I guess
quite
I
as
could.
personal,
I guess so.
or as
but
nuts or whatever.
At that point, I don't think that's bad enough to be worth my time anyway. Oh, I'm going to shock somebody's boobs for a few minutes. That's really
To get
not that-
information, though,
Yeah, but I don't find
that's
that's
going to
be
save a family member.
Let me ask you this.
Okay.
Would you talk if somebody did that weak shit to you, shocked your boobies for a while?
You ever been shocked real bad?
I don't know.
Okay, there's the flip side of this. What would you torture somebody for? What would you take torture for to keep from, or how far could you go to keep from giving up information? So
You
say
ever been
it's
You're
your
talking
family.
about-
So if they're gonna there's the one thing if you,
Well, what you attack me with is my bank account. I think I could probably take a pretty good beating to save my money. But I don't know about how much electricity flowing through my body.
yeah, that's
you
my
ever
point. Is
been
it,
shocked?
it's effective.
It's going to
It's
be
not
tough.
effective.
Yeah, well, it might be. I don't know.
Yeah, I
I've
don't
never
think
had
so.
it happen.
Have
I've
you
had a
ever
shock.
been shocked
Yeah.
bad?
Yeah, plenty of times.
Real bad.
Pretty bad.
Drop
point
to the
where-
floor,
it-
feel it in your
it
chest,
ain't
piss your
fun.
pants.
Yeah.
Pissed
Not
your
pi-
pants.
Not piss my pants. No.
Okay.
Have you ever pissed your pants?
No, but I thought I did. I had to grab my crotch to make sure it wasn't wet because
Yeah.
the feeling was there that I pissed my fucking pants. I got shocked so bad.
I grabbed onto a switch inside of a computer one time. One of the front main switches goes right to it. Locked my fingers up on it for a second.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Grounded out a 220 welder. Why it was under a load.
How could you take that? That should be 100 amps or more.
It was terrible.
Yeah, that should have killed me.
I didn't feel right for like 2 days.
I bet not.
That was Lethal Weapon, right? Where
No, that was
No,
a
there wasn't Lethal
dumpster
Weapon.
at-
remember
at
he was in the
Midwest.
water though.
The wet sponges.
Yeah, the wet sponge. Right. That's
Yeah.
where they got Mel Gibson. They said nobody could possibly take
hanging
that.
him from the thing.
Yeah, remember that?
Yeah.
He's forgotten more about pain than you ever know. Remember that the doctor or whatever they used to
Yeah,
inflict
it
the
was so
torture.
dumb. It was so dumb.
Yeah, 220 will hold you. Yeah, sure will.
Well, I don't know. I mean, that's here again. What I'm trying to discern between torture for the hell of it, which God knows there's plenty of that,
Sure.
but torture to actually get something and to save other lives.
What about
I
in
think
revenge?
there's a distinction there.
What about revenge torture?
Revenge
Like
torture
it's
is
the
something.
deed's
Yeah.
already done.
I think I could probably torture
and
somebody
you
to
know,
death.
say
But
you
so
know,
at
this
that
guy
point,
did the
you're
terrible
doing
of the terrible
that,
to
why
your
are you doing
mom
that?
or
To
whatever.
teach him a lesson?
No,
Or do you
no,
think
for
they-
yourself,
No, that's for your, yeah,
revenge.
exactly. That's what I'm
For the
talking about. That's what I'm
satisfaction.
talking about. Revenge torture for the
See,
satisfaction.
I don't understand that. That's my
of that.
problem. I don't
I
know.
think I would. If somebody killed somebody, a member of my family, or I don't have a wife, my sister,
I would just
my
kill
mother.
them.
No,
to
I'd
end
make
their
it.
life.
Nah, too quick.
See,
I think I'd rather. What if
That's the
they
difference
raped and tortured your wife?
again, that's the difference between they're just done. They cannot exist.
I think that's too easy.
Yeah, I mean that's
It's too easy. It's too simple for what the pain that they have, and maybe that's eye for an eye, but it's too little for what they've done.
See,
The
he's-
punishment
I mean-
don't fit the crime on
See,
that
that's the
one.
problem.
bud.
He's New Testament. We're Old Testament.
I
Uh-huh.
guess so.
Yeah, see.
I just say you got to
See,
die.
because you are with the
Simple
Jews.
as that, and I'm
They're
done
Old
with it.
Testament, man. Welcome to the tribe.
You give them too much power like that. You know what I mean? They've affected you. They've affected you so much at this point that I don't know.
No, I hear you, but that's what I'm asking about. The revenge torture.
I think it's
that
justice.
Sort of
I think
torture.
it's
You've gone
justice.
crazy
Justice,
at that point.
there it is.
Then they've tortured you to the point now where
Fine.
you've gone crazy.
Tough.
Yeah, I mean,
I can
it is
deal
what
with
it is.
I can deal. I can live with it.
Then
I'd
I don't
sleep
know
like a baby.
I don't know what I could do if someone has made me go literally crazy.
Oh no,
have-
I'm not saying
I guess I could
won't
do
get
anything.
PTSD because of it. I might really fuck myself up,
I
but
don't know.
I'm gonna do it. Yeah.
I don't know.
I
Man.
mean, you see these every once in a while. These
I don't
guys
think
in
either
the
one of you
courtroom.
tough guys could do it for too long.
Oh, I don't know
I don't
about
think
that.
either of you could handle the blood for that long.
It doesn't have to be blood.
I don't think
like
you
I
guys
said,
could.
cranking the old electric shock or what. I could think of something pretty, or putting them in the Iron Maiden. I could do that.
Especially if there was no fear of incarceration.
Right. That's what I'm saying.
Come
Yeah,
on now.
We're talking about.
I don't think you guys are that sick.
You don't think that's justice?
I
think it's justice.
I don't think
I mean,
it's
a guy
justice.
that tortures and kills. I mean, some of these serial killers. They
I don't
just
think
kill,
eye for an
they
eye is
torture.
justice. You think eye for an eye is justice?
Yes.
I don't know
Absolutely.
about that. That doesn't seem civilized to me, sir.
And a tooth for
I
a
think
tooth.
we should go by case. I'm just saying. but-
Remember what Mo said? A tooth for a tooth.
Yeah, tooth for
Yeah,
a tooth.
Smack curly.
Mo
was good.
Let's talk about that. The Code of Hammurabi. I think that's fucking old school bullshit. I don't think it's good. And that was a whole shitty system anyway. Because if you were a caste below or
right.
above,
I'm not talking about Code of Hammurabi. I mean,
well, that's basically what you're saying. Eye for an eye.
No, that's new. That's the Old Testament. Isn't
Do
it?
unto others as you would have them do unto you, kind of like you did this to me. Now I'm going to do this to you. Is what you guys.
No,
are
I think
getting
it's literally eye for an eye and tooth for a tooth. Right. That's.
I was under the impression
the eye of the Bible.
if you cut someone's
it's
hand
proverbial.
off, they cut your hand off. Shit like that.
It's proverbial. In this case, it's proverbial. What you're saying is if somebody harmed you in a great manner, you will return their great harm to them, is what you're saying. Eye for an eye right there.
Right.
You've taken my eye, you've caused me damage, I must return you said
Probably
great damage.
Probably more though if I can still function to do that.
Okay, well, I mean, you might be a real fucking psycho then.
I don't
Well, I
know.
wanna have
I
you
don't
check
know
with
about
him,
would
that.
be a better
sociopath.
word than
I don't think
psychopath.
so.
Well, it seems like you're ready to get to that point.
A
I don't
guy-
think I'm
if a
ready.
guy, even if it wasn't even my kid, if I caught a guy and he
Hope for the
raped and
best,
killed
prepare
a
for the
child
worst.
or something, and I caught him and I was gonna get away with it, I'd make him pay.
So,
I wouldn't just shoot him in the head.
You guys in your mind somehow think it's on you to be the person
That's
to
right.
to give out justice, to
That's
meter
right.
out punishment.
It depends on
Judge,
the,
jury, and executioner.
It
Man,
depends
just like
on the
Thomas Blaine.
situation.
If I was to
yes.
come onto this,
I, the jury.
to me, my job in that situation is not to give out the punishment, is to stop that from happening. I'm going to stop that child from taking punishment, and if that means I have to make a summary judgment on that person and kill them, that's one thing. Stop them if possible otherwise. That's what I'm there to do, not to teach a fucking lesson.
All right, wait a minute. Okay,
To do some sort of continually revenge, rape them because they've raped someone or whatever. That's just...
Whoa,
Okay,
who's
so here's a
talking about
You get
hypothetical.
my
rape
point.
here?
It's do unto others. It's they did this, now you got to get your revenge. Is my point. I'm not saying...
yeah, revenge
All right,
torture.
what happens? All right, here's a completely hypothetical, maybe
Okay.
absurdly hypothetical, but I'm sure it could happen, where somebody, and it happens because somebody rapes and kills or whatever, does a heinous crime, gets away with it because of some technicality that everybody knows, because our legal system is so screwed up.
If you're 100% everybody knows,
And
there's the
you
problem
catch
with the legal
him,
system.
and you can get away with killing him. You wouldn't do it. You wouldn't.
So that's, again, if it's straight kill, and that's pretty much if somebody did any kind of bad crime,
right.
Is it bad enough to where I would ever be the person who flips the switch, is what you're saying? Is there any point in time where, yeah, I could do that if it's my turn to flip the switch because this guy was a murderer? You killed 10 people. We've decided that it was bad enough we're killing you. We're not going to delay it anymore. We're not going to psychologically tell you you've got 10
But
years.
you can't do it. You wouldn't be able to do it slowly. You got to hit it once and just kill him.
That makes me no better than them. Whenever you're a fucking psychopath who can mete out that kind of pain to somebody, that ain't no better than what you're trying to do. Now their family, whether they believe it's right or not, now have a case against you. They could come and continue that same sort of fucking thing on you because you did it to their family or whatever.
Well, what was that one movie
I think
where the
you're
guy?
describing the Middle East again.
No, what I'm describing is Kill Bill 3.
Which one?
Kill Bill 3, which hasn't come out yet. They always said if there was going to be a Kill Bill 3, it would be the little girl from the first movie, Veronica Green, with the first girl she kills, the black woman. She goes in her home and her daughter witnesses it.
Oh, yeah.
They always said it was the third movie was going to be her coming back to get revenge on the bride.
Beatrice.
But in the movie, the bride was completely justified in her mind because they fucked her over. But now that little girl has in her mind justification to go kill the bride.
Is revenge ever a viable solution?
That's my point. No,
never.
I
don't agree with that.
If you've come to the point where there needs to be a final
5
judgment,
minutes ago, you were with me on killing somebody that wronged you. Now you're
I don't agree with that. I just said, of course, I
we were just for revenge killing.
I am. I said I don't
What
agree
about
with
revenge
him.
torture?
He said it's
Oh,
never.
Okay. I thought you meant
Double
you didn't
negative.
agree with it.
That's a positive. Yes. You got to
gotcha.
listen. Quit chewing and listen.
I just say,
I listen to you.
why go with
Take the buffalo nuts out of your mouth.
It's self gratification is all you're
bisons.
getting there.
Correct.
It's very selfish. It's self gratification.
It sure is.
Yeah, I mean.
Okay, well then, hey, that's what doctors do.
There
I
you go,
like the
guess.
pain I give people.
Ooh.
To get out of here.
You sound sociopathic. Just saying.
I don't think it's sociopathic.
It sounds like it's more
some
likely
people
that
deserve to be
somebody's gonna
tortured to death.
It sounds like to me you guys are more at risk of somebody taking revenge out on you at this point.
I haven't done anything to be, but I haven't done anything that heinous.
Not yet, psycho. You're just looking for that fucking.
Some of those guys
spark.
at boot camp at Fort Leonard Wood probably looking for me.
They got your number, Armand.
I can see this.
Well, I don't want them to catch
10
me.
years from now, Armand's jaded on the whole online dating thing. He's got to spice it up a little. Who's his first fucking victim? Right here, this guy. Torturer supreme.
He starts paying extra to beat him.
And then that's not good enough. That didn't get me off good enough. I'm Armand, and now I got to do a little cutting. How much to cut you, baby? How much to cut you? How much
He
for that
starts
finger?
with choking before the cut.
Yeah, well, I'm just saying it's a progression.
The Hannibal Lecter of podiatry.
If you're capable of doing it for revenge, you're capable for doing it for pleasure.
I don't think so. I don't agree.
Yeah. I don't know, man.
Different systems at play there, I think.
You think? So
It doesn't to
me sound like temporary insanity. This is what
it's
you guys
more or
think.
less like the Clockwork Orange. I can remember him. I can get off on the guy. Well, watch that too while you're watching The Deer Hunter. Make it a double feature. Remember, he's playing Beethoven's Ninth, and he is going nuts up in that room for what he did to his wife. I can definitely, I can relate to that guy. He's in a wheelchair.
Again, that's temporary insanity, I would argue.
Well,
But to me, it doesn't sound like you guys are any part of temporary insanity. It sounds like you're completely aware of your faculties and are ready to settle in for the long haul to torture somebody.
what about the two people that were with him? There were two people with him that helped him do it.
Sure.
How about that? They're
Both
insane
psychos,
too.
yeah, definitely insane too. I guess.
Temporarily or no?
No, those two people, I guess, like say that's something happened to your family, Armand, and you were going to do that, and me and Eric backed your play and came as associate torturers for the day. No, those people are just fucking psychos. They're like mob hitmen, psychopaths who can go out and kill wantonly with no regard for human life.
That's not
that's
that
what you
they
guys
want
sound
to.
like.
It's not that they want to.
Well, I'll tell you what. If you
it's
told
that they
me
would
that
do that.
It's that they have to because they're told to.
If
for
you
whatever
No,
reason.
he didn't say. Armand wouldn't be telling us. He would be asking us, "Hey, I need a favor from you guys."
And could you do that for
If you were
anybody as
close,
a favor?
yeah, if there
I
was
would.
close enough. If I was close enough with someone, if you came up to me and asked me to torture a motherfucker to get information for you for what you needed, you damn right I would do it. 100%
Well, he's
would
talking about
torture somebody
revenge.
all the way.
Yeah.
Revenge too, yeah,
I
whatever.
would too. If
I'd
you-
probably do it without you asking and show up as a
That's my
present,
point. You're a
cousin Eddie
fucking
style,
psycho.
cousin
I
Eddie
don't think
style,
that's
with a big
psychotic.
red fucking bow on his head, and say, "Here he is, let's party."
Yeah,
Hey,
you're
remember the
Got
guy?
a big old bag
You
of
may
blow
think
and
it's
a
funny to
fucking-
say this stuff, but
All right, I know it's not funny.
he's making a big joke out of it, but
But
you
how
sound like
about-
a fucking psycho, and I'm trying to be
I don't
serious
know.
with
If,
it.
I don't know if codename Killer. Does he agree with me or not? With
They
those
walked
intentions?
into
I'm
those
not sure.
houses with those
right.
intentions.
Well, they did. They raped the guy's wife and killed her more or less, and crippled him. And then he caught him later in the movie and tortured him to the point where he's committing suicide. But how about The Godfather? Remember the first scene of The Godfather? They raped. They raped my. Remember the guys asking The Godfather for justice because his daughter was raped, and they beat the hell out of her and broke her face and everything, and she looked terrible.
Yeah.
And then he got the guy got off, with probation.
Right.
suspended sentence.
Again,
the Godfather said, listen, I
at
want
that
this
point-
taken by guys that are not going to get carried away. He hired 3 guys, and God only knows what they did to these guys.
Exactly my point.
Okay, but that's not justice to you.
No, it might be justice if you just kill him, but whenever you
they
go above and
he
beyond
said
to do
they're
the
not going to
torture.
kill him. That's not justice.
Yeah, that's not justice.
But he's going to make him suffer.
No, the killing would be if you're metering it out when you're making it personal like that. That's whenever it's torture
But
and you're fucked up in the head.
they disfigured the guy's daughter, raped her, and beat her
Sure.
to a pulp.
Sure.
The Godfather beat them to a pulp.
Well,
That's not because they got off. Our judicial system did not serve the man, and the mob.
I can understand if that's your value. Fine.
You don't agree with that, though.
I
I'm
don't
just
agree with
asking.
that. I would
Okay,
just
my
say
values. I think that's a
if
certain
you've come to
justice
me at
in
this
that.
point and you've come to the finality that something it is so bad that where we've got to go do that, then just fucking kill him.
I don't think that's just. I think
Take
the
it-
Godfather's right. You don't take their life.
Why does the Godfather himself have to be personal? Why does his people have to go out and make this it's too personal is my point. Whenever you've got to that point, he's going out to eke out a revenge. A revenge is always personal.
You'd rather it be detached.
Exactly.
Well, more or less it was. It wasn't his family. It was this guy's family. He's asking for
And
a
it
favor.
wasn't even him that did it. It was his.
Right. The guys that did
cronies,
it.
But he's okay with
henchmen.
it. It's still he's got to put his mind in his own mind. He's got to justify that.
But what about the 2 garbage men that actually do the act? Are they psychotic too? Because they're just getting paid.
Yes.
They got it. Okay.
Yeah, definitely.
I don't agree with
if
that.
you could, whether you do it for money or do it for revenge,
It's all business. It's business.
Yeah, that's super psycho. There, if you can sit and continually do that, that's
Well,
worse.
I
than
know.
somebody,
I don't know if I could, but I mean, if it was your family, my family, and you said, "Listen, I want to find this guy. And here's a baseball bat. Come with me." I'd come with you.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. I just don't think I could do it.
Really?
Maybe I'm a big fat pussy, but
I don't know. I would.
I could easily, I think, shoot somebody in the head before I could continue. I don't have the gumption, the stomach to torture someone.
I don't know if
But
that's
you'd have the
torture.
stomach
I
to
don't have-
blow
nor
their
the-
brains all over the wall.
I don't have or the patience probably. I'm a
That's
little too
that.
emotional.
You don't have to have any patience for that. That's one. Oh shit! Well, if we were wrong, there's nothing you can do. It's
That's
not like
my
you can
point.
stop beating somebody in the
Do you
middle.
think you could-
You
how
can
about
stop
this?
beating somebody in the middle if you start feeling bad.
Could you do the bamboo torture test or bamboo torture shoots or whatever in the nails of somebody for information? Could you do
It
that?
depends.
Yes, I could do it.
It depends.
I know you could over there,
Just-
fucking Jeffrey Dahmer.
It just
but-
depends on the
I'm a
situation,
doctor.
man.
I've
I
been
can't
trained.
rule that out until I've been put in a situation to where I feel like that would
You
work.
can't rule it in either. That's my point.
You're
tough
right.
guy.
I can't
Yeah.
rule it in.
I just I find it so crazy that you have the opinion of yourself where you
Listen,
could do
I had
that.
a girlfriend a few months ago,
Yeah,
and
you
this
never
kid was torturing her family more, but I mean psychologically, threatening her mom and dad, who are old people. She's a kind of a helpless woman, and I said, let me go over there if he comes. And he's threatening to come in the house, and I was going to take a baseball bat over there, and if he came in the house, I was going to beat him to a pulp. Literally, I told her, "You want me to
Horrible
be
idea.
there?"
Horrible idea, Armand. That's emotion
Probably-
there for you, pal.
But I mean, but that's how I felt. I mean, I was kind of in this situation, and I told people in this office, and
that's-
they agreed with me.
And that's how you end up doing fucking a 15-year prison.
Probably it
run.
would have been
Two to-
stupid. I'm not
2 or
saying it's
3.
smart.
But,
2 or 3.
but it's that same style exactly would lead you to do a revenge torture. Like you get all emotional, you think somebody deserves it, and it's now up to you to meter out this justice, so to speak.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I'm not sure that makes me as perverse as you think it does. I don't know. I think it's
it's real
simple
perverse when somebody
justice.
think it's okay to
Read
take
the Count of Monte
justice in their own
Cristo.
hands. When you think it's okay to take matters in your own hands, that's whenever I have a problem.
Yeah, but the
with it.
problem is she called the cops. They can't do anything until this guy actually, carries out the threats he's making on her, and they told her that. That's not justice to me.
Well,
I
life
got to
ain't
be
fair.
there.
Life ain't fair, Armand. You
right.
can't make
well, I'm
life
trying
fair.
to make it as fair as I can. That's all.
That's
that
fair.
makes me
If you're
psychotic.
Trying to put it on an even keel. If you're going to come over and threaten somebody, then come over and threaten
I don't
me.
think that's psychotic. I think that's society. That's vigilantism, maybe, but I don't know if that's always bad.
Yeah, you fucking love Batman. What are you talking about?
The Dark Knight.
I think he's a fucking psychopath.
Oh, well, okay.
How about Death
consistent.
Wish?
I couldn't do Batman. You think you have the psycho? Think about what his psychopathicness makes him able to do. The willpower that gives him to day in and day out.
Batman would probably torture a motherfucker.
He has and
Spider-Man. Spider-Man had the same thing, though, right? His uncle was killed, right? Isn't
Yeah,
that
but
why
he would never go near the depths Batman would go
Right.
to get
Yeah,
information
he's
from somebody.
not.
Batman was
Spider-Man's
definitely a
different.
psychological torture. That was his whole character. From the bat down, it was designed to instill fear to get people to do what he wanted them to do.
Exactly.
So
well, how
he's-
about Death Wish?
the
He's
movie?
the
Death Wish?
vigilante.
Charles Bronson?
Yeah. Remember, he was a vigilante.
I
His
never
wife
watched the
and
movie.
his wife and his daughter were raped, and the wife was killed.
Sure.
And the daughter was a
psychopath
vegetable.
at this point.
And he goes
he's
around
cracked to the point where his brain is broken.
Right. He's got a big 357, walks in the worst parts of town and waves money around and waits for somebody to try to rob him and blows him away. Haven't you seen that movie?
No, I have not.
Check it out. Death
No,
Wish.
Never won.
Yeah.
They're remaking it actually.
But that's
Yeah,
I
I think
think
they
the
did, yeah.
title makes fucking sense.
Well, that's what it was.
You just said
But
he's
he
probably
could do
broken
it.
to the point.
And he says he could do that because he's just shooting him. He's not torturing him. He's shooting him in the head.
That's different. I can easily if I thought that these people would wrong me enough, like there's 6 people in this house who are responsible for the death of my family. If I've gotten to the point in my head where I've decided Now it's okay that I have to be the one to take this revenge. I'm fucking psycho at that point where I think it's my
So you
turn.
could shoot him and kill him, but you couldn't beat him to a pulp with a bat.
I don't
I don't know if that makes
And
sense.
not
to me.
kill him.
What
Right,
service
and
does
let
it
him
do?
live.
What service does it do my wife and child, or if it was them who
Well, they
took
didn't
the
kill
brunt of
your
this?
wife and child. They just beat him to they beat them up.
Then what service does it do them? What
Nothing.
gain?
It
Exactly.
does me. I don't know if that makes me
Again,
a psychopath.
It does. It does.
I don't know. I don't agree. Well, what does everybody think? What is it? We're not getting any
All right.
opinions here.
Hey, chat. Does that make him a psychopath?
Josh, come
or
on.
do you all
Come on,
agree
help
that
me
it's
out here.
completely acceptable
Codename Killa's got to be on
to
my
break
side.
bad and just start whenever you feel like you've made it up in your mind? It's time. What if you were wrong? By the way, you never know. What if you were slightly wrong and you just went and fucking revenge torture
All
to
right,
kill
I
somebody?
get that, but it's rhetorical. You know, since it's a rhetorical question, you know you're right.
Yeah, you know, quote unquote,
okay.
no.
Well, they broke into your house and you watched it, and then you see it.
I
And
guess.
before they leave, you got a baseball bat
Oh,
in your
you're
hand.
talking about fucking the movie with Gerard Butler again. Not the one where he's on the president, but the one where he's in the jail with Jamie Foxx and
he
a
breaks
fucking.
out. Oh fuck. Makes all the toys and stuff.
Yeah. He's real smart.
Yeah, I don't know. It wasn't
Yeah,
that great.
you can always say that. In fact, that's the argument against capital punishment. It always has been that. What if you're wrong? You don't want to hang. You want to let 10 guilty men go before you hang one innocent man. But now, these days, with the DNA and everything, that's not even an issue.
I would
It's
argue.
trillions
do you
to
think
one.
capital punishment is really effective as a deterrent?
Well, I guess that's what we're talking about with those public. I think if it's public, I think it's more of a deterrent.
I think the type of people who would do those crimes, who would
Don't give
who
a
would
fuck
make that
about
choice and
dying.
not do it under passion. Yeah, that's not a deterrent for them.
I don't. Well, that's true. I agree with you, but
Because those
I
type
think
of
it's a
psychos think
deterrent.
I'm not getting caught.
Hey, here's
Correct,
something.
but there's
somebody,
some psychos that are not quite so psycho that are going to take a chance
Hang
that it
on
may
now.
deter.
Codename Killa just brought up a great point here in the chat. Is a lion psycho for protecting its cubs, or a bear at that point for protecting it from an internal threat?
So no.
Yeah.
If the lion has decided to go kill that animal to make sure it doesn't come back, no, that's not psycho. That is a self-defense act. If that psycho or that lion decided for whatever reason, now I'm going to start stalking that lion and its family and continue to fuck with it over time, then yes, that lion has become psycho.
I think there are stories of that though. Wasn't there one that
It's like
they
the
made a movie
man-eating
about
tiger or
it? Was
man-eating
it
thing,
White
yeah.
Lion, Black Hunter, or whatever? That was about the lion that they think was actually revenge against the natives. Killed like 27 of them.
Let's be for real here.
Yeah, it was in Africa.
Defense
True story.
and revenge are two different things.
That's what I'm saying. The lion was exacting revenge on him for killing its mate or whatever, and it took them years to catch this fucking thing, and it killed all kinds, and it was obvious revenge. It wasn't eating them.
he wasn't eating them.
Right? No, it
he
was just killing
wow.
them. They made a movie about it. Now, I mean, that may be,
I would
may
say
be
that lion
apocryphal,
is
but
a way worse of a lion than a lion that just goes out
Psychotic
because
lion.
it wants to eat people. That's one thing. Yeah, you're going to eat. You're a lion. You're going to eat. But
see,
if
Bob's
now
gonna
you're
go medieval on their ass.
what's Bob saying? Cause harm to
Listen,
me. You're
read
any else
it.
close to me, and I'm going to go evil. I mean,
I think that's natural. I don't know.
that's
That's
anger
weird.
talking.
I told a 50-year-old lady I'd beat her ass in the alley for fucking with my dog.
See, that's just crazy. You
I
can't-
know.
That
I
may
know.
be a little.
you
Yeah,
gotta
I don't
be
know about that one.
Be
but-
civilized, you people. I mean,
No, I'm talking about somebody that did physical harm, rape, something very egregious to a relative, friend, parent, whatever, and I've got the opportunity to exact my revenge. I'm going to do it, and it's not going to be just a shot in the head. I think I'm going to, and maybe I am psychotic.
see,
psychotic.
I
for
kind of
taking
like
them-
our system. When it works right,
Yeah, well, it doesn't.
there is.
It doesn't.
That's the problem.
It's not a deterrent. There's a punishment system, and if you're going to have a punishment, putting somebody away and taking their freedom is an acceptable punishment to me. And if they've done the ultimate crime, then kill them. But I don't know anywhere along in our system, and I guess our system agrees, where there's a torture involved, other than the psychological torture of your freedom being gone.
Well, some people say life imprisonment is cruel and inhuman
That's
punishment.
what I'm saying. That
Sensory
would take away your
deprivation in the
freedom.
hole. We already talked about that.
That and it's say, but I'm saying just the punishment act is really not a super bad torture.
Slavery, isn't it?
Kind of, but
It's
no.
worse. I don't know.
I mean, they actively make you a slave when they put you in jail.
Sounds like that might be the movie, The Lion in the Dark. Is that what I think that might be the movie I was thinking of. But it was documented. This lion was exacting revenge, apparently. There was no other reason for what it was doing.
Really?
Yeah, it was just
That's
terrorizing all these, these natives. But anyway, I don't know.
We're just getting around. We're going in circles on that.
Yeah, but okay, well.
No, I think it was a good
I think it's
discussion.
2-1 though against. I think
That's totally fine. I'm with you two psychos, and if we have to go torture somebody, I'll be right there with you. If that's the group consensus, we're going to go torture somebody.
okay, good for you. That's
I mean, I'm nothing if
democracy
not a
award.
sheep.
Next week on Surreal Talk, we jump off a bridge and see if ever
That's it.
follows.
I'm nothing but a sheep. So,
What's all this YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, and are these tortures?
no, these are things we were going to remember to tell people at the end of the show to check
Oh.
out our YouTube, check out our
I
Facebook.
thought they were torture. Gee, I don't know about that one. I mean,
You're going to little head on the
Maybe.
notes there, Armand.
Okay, I'm sorry. It's at the
Don't
bottom.
torture yourself and miss out on our Facebook.
Well, you got
and
here. You got
YouTube.
hypothermia, electric shock, YouTube, Facebook.
That's another good method of torture is to
Yeah.
put somebody in a cold bucket of water and
Hypothermia
freezing.
would be bad. That would
Yeah,
be well.
that would
Although
suck,
I don't
dude.
know, it wouldn't be very long before you'd freeze out.
When did
I
they
mean,
stop using the
It doesn't
sweat
take
box?
long. Doesn't take long.
In
That'd
prisons?
be worse. I think that'd be worse.
When did they?
Yeah.
They used to use that in prisons, right? Up until like the 50s, I believe.
Oh yeah, that's
That'd be
that's
terrible.
fucking
That'd be
super torture.
fucking terrible.
yeah. They put you in the box. That's bad. That would be really tough. I remember.
So that's the same thing, Eric. You
Bridge
said
on
they'd
the
be
River
fine. But
Kwai.
as soon as you turn up the heat, that's whenever it becomes unacceptable to you. So being in isolation, you say it's
I'm
fine.
talking
I'll
about.
see
I'm
if
talking
they're-
about being
I think I'd
sweat
ra-
boxed.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what I'm saying.
Not
The sweat box is
administering
no
it.
different.
Wouldn't you rather have that than
Well, earlier you
sensory
said-
deprivation? I'd rather have sensory deprivation being in the sweat box.
Well, yeah,
Okay.
but it's the same difference, though, Eric. You're saying earlier you could easily go through solitary confinement. You
I
just sleep
think
through.
so.
But as
I
soon, all it
think I
takes is
could.
one variable, turn up the heat, and at that point is no.
Yes.
Okay, just
Well,
getting that clear.
Now
I
speaking
don't
of
like being hot, dude.
yeah, I don't either. I'd rather be cold.
Fucking,
I think.
yeah,
I-
fuck yeah. I'd
I
rather
don't
be.
like that.
Uh-huh.
In fact, that's what I think. I got a phobia. I think I don't. God, I hope there's no hell because I don't like. I wouldn't. Boy, the sea of flame. I think I could live with just being in the Arctic for eternity and cold.
I
I
think they
wouldn't want to
call
be
it-
hot, sulfur and everything. Oh, that would be bad.
Yeah, fuck that.
I've always stated that you can't do anything about being hot, but at least you can cover up if you're cold.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
what are you
know.
gonna do?
Summer, I
Peel
hate
your
summer.
skin off?
Yeah, I hate St. Louis summers. I mean, winter I can deal with.
Let me ask you this, Armand. Going back to the torturing thing.
That's
I just,
right.
just
Cool Hand
popped
Luke
into my
was in
head.
the box. Yep.
Uh-oh.
So say you're torturing someone and it's for you, but are you asking them questions? Or are you showing them pictures? Is that your kind of thing? Would you like, look what you did? I want you to
I would be
recant."
telling them who it's for. Yeah.
Yeah, but
Probably. Yeah.
do you want them to eventually acknowledge it? Because then
No.
at that point you're trying.
No,
Then
I'd
why?
probably be like, this is for my sister or whatever. This is for my whatever, and this is just for me. And I don't, there's absolutely nothing logical about it. I would tell them.
I get it.
and I know it's not going to bring back the dead.
just trying to
but I'm
understand, I
just
just don't
making
get
it's
it.
making me feel better.
I
Now
don't-
that may make me some sort of.
do you think you'd
pervert.
feel
I
better
don't
the
know.
day after?
Yeah, I could sleep
You
like
think-
a baby.
Like
I
for the
really
rest
would.
of your life, you'd be, oh man.
I'll tell you what would
I
make
got
me
this-
feel terrible.
That time I drilled into that guy's head who fucking kidnapped my kid. I drilled into his head and then I pulled his teeth out with the fucking pliers and
Hell yeah.
smashed his fingers with a hammer. And
It'd be
then-
better than like I know that he's in jail somewhere, having 3 meals a day, watching cable TV, and
Yeah.
living
My
a
point is-
reasonably good life.
If
Yeah.
you're going to go to the effort of beating him with a fucking hammer and drilling into his head and torturing him just because, he was a bad son of a bitch, why not just kill him?
Because it's too quick. It's too easy. I just told you that.
I just don't understand. That's my point. I just don't
That's the whole
understand
point.
it. I don't.
Depending on what he did. If he walked up to my sister and put a bullet in her
But
head,
you're getting pleasure.
I'd maybe go up and put a bullet in his head. But if he's
I-
like the torture killer, the BTK killer,
Yeah.
bondage torture killer, that's what I do to him.
Again,
It's my perverse sense of justice. That's
what I'm
all
saying.
I gotta
It is
say.
perverse. You're getting a
Maybe.
pleasure from it. That's
No.
right. No, that's exactly. You sleep
No,
like a baby.
I'm not doing it for.
Oh, tomato,
It
tomato.
would
Okay, if
not
you want
be
to call it pleasure, I
it's
don't
not
know.
pleasure.
It
It's,
may be something different.
If you're doing
Satisfaction.
satisfaction, and
not
fair
pleasure.
enough. If you're deriving satisfaction,
Yeah, it's
from
not
something
sex.
like that,
I'm
that's
not getting
what
a
I call it.
sexual rush out of it or anything. I think you're implying that
No, I'm
which
not
is
saying
what
that
these
at all.
serial killers do.
Yeah.
It's a rush to them. The power.
It,
of
to a
killing
lesser
someone.
degree, it's the same thing. If you can torture
No.
someone, to me, you are the beginnings of a serial killer.
Well, what do you think,
If you can take
Eric?
it
You're gonna have to.
and disregard a human's cries for help in any form, whether
no, I
they
wouldn't
deserve it or
disregard.
not.
I'd just gag him. There would be no cries.
Yeah, you're disregarding
I
their
can't take
pain. If
that.
you can disregard pain and suffering at any level for any reason, then you're on the next step to
But
the
this
next.
guy's not. I mean, to me, I got to
What
agree
about
with
when your
President.
kid cries when you whip her? If you can disregard that, it's
Yeah.
the same
that doesn't
fucking
hurt
thing.
you.
I'm
if
beating
it
him
doesn't
to
hurt
death
you
for his own
inside-
good.
If it doesn't hurt you inside, you whip your kid and they cry about it, then you're a fucking monster.
Oh, nobody ever said that.
That's what I'm
I
saying.
mean, I'm going to go through a
But it doesn't hurt him
rash-
inside whenever he's torturing people. That's my
It's
point.
not my kid. If it's a guy that did something to my kid, you damn right it'd make me
Yeah,
feel
it
better.
won't hurt me inside.
But if
either.
your kid's going to run out in the middle of the street,
just
you
don't know
spank him and say, "Don't ever do that again," and you know it's because you're saving their, you
Right.
don't want them to do it again, and you mean it. I don't think you're going to have any problem with that. And they cry and everything. You're going to let them cry, and then when they give them a little candy, you say, "But this is because I love you. I'm just doing this, and I'm not doing it to her." I'm not a parent, but I think that's what you would do.
right.
It's the difference between a guy that rapes kids and this guy's got to go.
I don't know. It seems very
Defending
coming from me. I was gonna say self-centered, but
He sounds like he's talking about killing somebody that rapes kids. You're telling that that you shouldn't kill people that rape kids. This is defending
Well, he
pedophilia
says he probably would,
again.
but he'd kill him. I say I'm going to torture
I'm
him
not
to
saying
death.
don't kill him. I'm saying
I don't see
Don't
a
torture
big
him.
difference there.
why
I don't
do what
know.
they did? Why put yourself on their level? Because to me, it's very selfish to do that. It's like what are you serving? You're no better. It just doesn't seem right. If you're gonna,
Yeah, they force you in that situation.
Justice to
Much like
me-
you can be broken by torture.
you ever heard Justice is Blind?
The torture that was inflicted upon you by the pain
and
you
that's
received.
fine. As long okay, a
That's how
non-broken
you're.
person.
That's how you're justifying it to yourself.
Okay,
It's
if you're a broken
because of
person,
that-
that's fine. But if
you're
you're a
what?
non-broken person, how can you torture someone? I'd say the very definition of the ability
Oh,
to
you
torture.
have to be a psychopath. But
You
if you're
have to be.
broken, you don't have to be a psychopath.
But he
if
broke
it's-
you.
Okay,
I mean, that's
then
what
that's not
what
you,
broke
then
you.
I would
Yeah,
say.
that's what broke you.
I'm
is
not
the-
broken. I
the-
can't do it,
The
but
atrocities that
right.
have happened to your family and
I
friends.
don't know. You guys seem like you're very eager to be broke, and it'd be easy for you to be broke.
Well, what do you think about the? What do you think? I don't want to. Well, should I say this? Should I say the word? What about the Jews that attacked the guards when they were liberated from the concentration camps?
What about it? What's your point?
You
Well,
think they
you
had
think they're
right?
psychotic? You think they're
psychotic?
They
When
exacted
when they got
revenge
out
on their
and they
guards.
Killed those guards at
Yeah.
those camps.
Okay, let me say this: if they would have taken those guards off site and then metered out some fucking medieval torture to them, yes, they're psychopath. But to escape from certain death, they had to kill their captors.
No, this
No,
is
they
well,
got
no, they had been
liberated. They
liberated,
got
but they attacked the
liberated.
guards and killed.
they came back
and the
and killed them?
Americans didn't stop them.
Yeah.
That's a revenge thing. Yeah, that's psychopath.
After what they were.
I don't know about that.
That's revenge. Is okay. I got away. I'm not a combatant myself. I'm going back now just for revenge.
okay. So, but how about when they caught Eichmann and hanged him?
But okay,
That's
let me
not-
continue on though.
Okay.
If they were relatively sure that they're in impending danger, these same guards in this camp was coming out to get me right now, and they're going to do this to me again, yeah, I could see going back and stop its defense at that point, stopping these people from coming after me. But just to go for the express point of they have harmed me before and I must harm them in return, that's psycho.
They did more than just harm them.
Yeah,
They took away those
they
people's
beat him
humanity.
to death. Yeah, right.
And
Oh,
people
yeah,
call
what
me
the
the
guards?
anti-Semite. You're calling them psychos for trying to attack the guards.
I'm saying I say they are psycho.
Wow.
That's mob justice. Mob justice is if anything is psycho. That's not a person thinking rationally. Irrational acts is my point.
Yeah, but
If
what
you can
what
rationally-
induced the irrationality? That's what happened. Is
Excuses.
irrationality? Well, is it psychotic to be irrational under any circumstances? I don't think so.
I think it is.
How cannibalism? I mean, that's kind of irrational too. But you would do it if you're starving. People, it's been done.
That's a
So-
great example.
So
You
Eric,
have
me
to-
and you were on an island. Could you eat me? But I'm not dead yet. You got to the point where you're so hungry, you've come up to the idea that you're going to kill me and then eat me.
Well, I think there have been documented like they roll
Yeah,
dice or
no.
whatever, and the loser gets
Not
eaten.
you.
Well,
Okay, anyone
to
else?
survive?
Armand.
Well, me. Yeah, he'd waterboard me and then eat me.
So you probably would. Okay.
And peg
I don't
me
know that I
too.
could. I'd probably. Maybe it's my own principles, but maybe
I don't
try
like
to
being
eat
hungry,
sand
same
before I
as
eat
I don't like
Armand.
being hot.
I'll eat one of your legs. You can eat one of mine. You know, I mean, we'll both live. I don't know. Maybe that analogy isn't proper, but I don't know. But if you said I don't want any
wouldn't taste
revenge,
good.
it just doesn't make sense to me to say I'm not out for revenge. But then you'll say I can kill him, but I can't torture him. That doesn't jibe with me, because it's easier to
Right.
put a bullet in his head than to beat him to death with an iron rod or something. I don't know if that makes you any more or any less psychotic than I am. I'm not sure.
I am psychotic. If I'm going to the point now, like I said before, if I've gotten to the point where I'm going to kill you, why not just kill you? Or if
And
I'm
you
going
say you
to,
do it.
Yeah,
Okay,
I'm,
well,
I'm
what's the
psycho at
difference?
that point. Well, there's a difference between being an ultimate justice and just putting someone down rather than relishing it and making it last. It's like if a dog bit your kid and you had to put that dog down, you're not going to go fucking pull the dog's fingernails out before you kill the dog.
But you didn't agree with me on the Godfather analogy, which I thought was justice,
Apples
where the
and
guy
oranges.
said,
Not apples and oranges.
Well-
Because the person who does that sort of shit is no different than an animal. They don't belong in our society as a member of our society. Once they've done that and you've decided to put them down, there's no point in doing any other thing other than just doing what you said.
Other
you're gonna
than
do.
just keeping them as a slave on death
Okay,
row for
so
10 years.
this dog, and I don't agree with that either. I say if you're going to kill somebody, you've made it, and your justice system has decided death
Right.
is the penalty. Finish that death.
would you kill him though if he was
Finish
if
the
he
fucking
raped?
job.
I mean, if he
Yep.
raped your mother or your sister or something, would you kill him for that? I don't know if I'd kill him for that. I think I'd rather beat the holy shit out of him.
I would rather they face the justice system and the justice system decide whether or not that rape
Okay.
was worth killing them, or putting them in prison for the rest of
But
their
what
life.
if they got
got
away with it? Whatever. That's what I'm saying.
If
the
they're-
justice system failed you for some reason.
I don't know that I don't think so. I don't think if someone raped my mother and they got away with it, I don't know that I'm the type of guy who would go fucking full Mel Gibson or whatever, find out where they live, come up with the whole plan. That's psychopath.
Okay, maybe you wouldn't, but if somebody else did,
That's
you
premeditated
still think they're
murder.
psychopath. You don't have
Yeah,
any. You have no,
premeditated murder is psycho.
I can relate to it. I can relate to it.
Premeditated?
Yeah.
That's what he says in Lucky Number 11. So that's why they didn't search him. When they brought Slevin into the room with the
never saw
Jewish rabbi, and he's the head of a gang also. He's a rabbi and a gang leader. Anyways, he's like, well, why didn't you search me? Because in the Jewish faith or whatever, the act of premeditated murder, so there's only 3 things you can't do, including to save your own life, which is like, one of them was commit premeditated murder.
Right.
So killing him before he killed him would have been fine. That's why they didn't search him, let him come in with a gun. Because he could kill him before he kills him, but he couldn't just kill him right out of the way.
Premeditated, right.
Yeah.
See?
Well,
So
I'm not
Bob in the chat says, when the zombie apocalypse comes, Everett will be the first to die. Definitely don't want to be Team Everett. I disagree.
That's correct, Bob.
Get on my team, because as soon as I,
On my team.
especially in a zombie apocalypse situation where the stakes are as high as ever, torture doesn't mean the goddamn thing. If you think they're going to come at you, take your resources, and make your family and your group die, kill them immediately. No question.
So
Kill
you're
them.
saying there's no need for torture ever?
No,
Not even
you
in a
either-
war situation where
I guess
to extract information.
extracting information, I could see the use for it. I don't know
but
that
you don't
I
know if
could
it's
do it.
effective,
I don't know how effective it is,
right?
and I definitely don't think I could be the person to do it.
Could you authorize it?
Fuck
There's
yeah.
the thing. You're the
I
one.
probably could.
Okay.
Well, then
I
that's,
still don't think
that's
it's right.
tantamount to
Doing
doing it.
It is, isn't it? Isn't that fucked up?
Well,
That's
no,
the hypocrisy
it's
in the
not. It's a
situation.
little weird.
It's
I mean,
hypocrisy.
Yeah, kind of.
But for me, it's easier to authorize it than it is to do it. I'm just saying to
Okay, well, I
personally
can
do it.
understand that. It's not easy to, throttle somebody with your bare hands or whatever. I mean, whatever.
Whenever you take the disconnect, sure, that's the same thing as being okay with capital punishment and not being okay with pulling the trigger. Though I feel like as jury duty, I think, if we had enough murders.
Isn't
and
the
there was
judge just as guilty as the executioner?
yes.
So by you making the assessment that this guy needs to die or be beaten to death,
Well,
you could okay
I would
it.
never. I wouldn't be fine with stoning or beatings or anything like that. Anyway.
You're going to torture this guy, you and your camp are.
I'm not doing that.
Why not?
Why am I? I'm not torturing somebody.
No, you don't have to, but you
Oh,
made the call to.
Yeah, see, I don't
And ain't
think-
that the same as the? Isn't
I
the
think you
judge
would
just
hang
as
them.
guilty as the executioner?
Man, I hope to never be in that position as a general or a president where I have to authorize a torture.
No, we're talking zombie. You're the Rick fucking Grimes of
Okay,
the
I'm
goddamn
the Rick Grimes. Do I authorize?
scenario here.
Do I
Do you-
authorize
do you
Armand to go over there
authorize
and find out where
torture?
they've got
Yeah.
our food hidden? They've
Yeah.
stolen our food. No, I don't.
What?
I don't authorize Armand to do that.
Then okay, so here's what's gonna happen. It's called a hostile fucking takeover. So
My
you
people are gonna
can't
probably
get
kill me,
done
yeah.
what needed to be done. Armand, go torture this motherfucker and get our food back.
So
when we
now
get our
Eric's in
food
charge.
back, I'll make sure you eat.
Yeah,
but
you're
you ain't
that
making the
guy
choices
who
we
makes
need.
those rash decisions who eventually gets killed by the end of the season because they couldn't fucking toe the line. You know what I mean? You got real rash, and you tried to overthrow me, but you weren't smart enough. And now you're going to die because you done fucked up and I can't trust you.
No, I'm not doing anything. I'm just telling Armand go
All right.
torture this guy.
Eric,
'Cause we're getting our food.
We're getting some people complaining about you eating again. Seriously.
I'm not even eating. I don't know what they're talking about.
You got like a fucking lozenge. You can hear it bouncing off your teeth. Bullshit. You've been doing it the whole episode. You can hear it bouncing around in your mouth.
No.
You swear. You haven't had it. How long has it been since you had something in your mouth? Oh, I see it right there in your fucking tongue, dickwad.
What is it?
I don't know, like a pretzel or something. He's just bouncing around off his fucking teeth.
I'm not even eating it.
Yeah, but it's resonating out of your mouth right into the microphone.
Yes, there's a sucking sound. But
Yeah.
I think that's in your head, Armand.
maybe I'm
All right.
kind of.
Do you want to go into
psychotic.
torture devices more? Or I think we've pretty much covered that.
Anything else? I don't know. What happened?
Oh, we could start talking about some
No,
real weird
Danielle
ways to kill
busted
people.
me out on my eating.
Hey, speaking of which, they still got those Faces of Death tapes. Remember those? Do you ever watch
Uh-huh.
They
those?
don't make new ones. Snuff films in general.
Boy, those
It's
are
called
wild,
Live
huh?
Leak now.
What's it called? Live Leak.
Yeah, Live Leak.
And
Oh, is that what it-
you can
okay.
find shit on there on Live Leak.
That's
yeah.
some pretty wild stuff. Was it
Reddit
real or
has
fake?
a really gnarly subreddit.
What's it called?
There's Watch People Die.
Is it R Watch People Die?
Yeah.
Wow.
I'll send you a link, Armand. I don't
Thank
really
you.
want to see that.
I don't know. Yeah, I mean that's.
No.
Hey,
it's
as a torturer,
fucking terrible.
I'd have to think as both torturers, you guys could see people die, and it wouldn't really bother you.
I would do it
Well,
out
I
of
don't know.
necessity, not
Yeah.
because
Well, I remember the
enjoy
guy
it.
playing
That's
around
where-
with the
see, you're
alligator
under the
and-
impression
yeah.
that we're psychopaths
You guys-
here, and there's
you
a
are.
nece-
You're-
there-
you
we
are-
would not
you
do
are
this
one-
under normal circumstances.
Yeah,
I'm not
right.
just gonna go torture somebody because I fucking want to.
Right,
You're a
there's a
piece of
difference.
stimuli away. You are this close. Just one little thing could happen to do
Everyone
that to you.
is.
Yeah, I disagree.
You haven't been broken.
Neither of you.
Well, all we're
that's
saying
irrelevant.
is it depends on the circumstance.
You guys sound weak to me. You sound super weak to the point where you think you would let anyone change
It's not about weakness when I'm saying being broken. It has nothing to do with being weak
allowing
or
someone
strong.
to break. Yeah, weak or strong is will. That's what I'm talking about. Is the will. You let somebody break your will, then you're weak.
How is it? No. You're not. It's not breaking your will. I'm talking about
Then you are
breaking
willfully want to
mentally
do that.
where you're to the point to where you're gonna do that to
Right.
get what you need to
Okay,
get.
so here's my point. Then let me explain to you how this will works. Normally, willfully, you don't want to torture people, right?
No, yeah, not at all.
Right.
So they've broken your will down to the point where, they've changed you. They've changed your behavior. Your will has been bent to where now that's fine. That's when I consider yourself. Do you think that could happen so easy? Is why I think that's weak.
Yeah,
to where
that
somebody
could
So then that's why I consider you weak.
No.
I don't know. It depends on what makes
See,
you.
I think Armand's seeing my logic here.
No.
It depends on the circumstance. That's what I'm saying. I mean, if the guy,
Not really.
if the act is so heinous, I think that the normal person would expect. I'm not talking about. I don't know his dog. I don't. Maybe that was a little excessive.
I could
the
see
lady
it in
kicking his dog or whatever. And
No, I totally agree with you. If it's bad enough, I could see it happening to anybody. But to me, it seems like you guys are very very accepting of the fact that it wouldn't take too much. This or that could easily.
But you are totally oversimplifying what this or that may be. We're not talking about a guy robbed my wallet. We're not talking about a guy beat my ass. We're not talking about it. We're not talking about a this or a that. We're talking about a fucking life-changing event that has happened in your life that has totally flipped everything upside down. Your wife's been killed, murdered, and hey, so you had to go down to the morgue and identify her body.
Yeah, and I still don't see what doing
That
any kind
is
of
what
torture
breaking is.
makes that better. I still don't see where torture does anything other than.
Well, that's
I don't
the
get
debate.
the
That's
need
the
in your
debate. You
in your
don't.
mind where that
I-
makes
I
you feel
do.
better. Well,
I do.
I'm
That's-
trying to get you guys to make me understand it, but you're doing a piss poor job of making me
No,
understand
it's
the
well,
mind
something
of,
is inherently.
revenge
If
torture.
you don't understand it, you never will. It's
Yeah,
not
I mean,
inherent. I can't
that's-
understand your
I can
point
agree with
either.
that.
I disagree. I think you could at least make a point where I can understand your guys' apparent okayness with the eventuality of torture. But I still don't understand your point of view.
No, we're defending. We're not talking about torture anymore. We're talking about revenge.
Revenge torture.
And is it justified? Justice is more what I think we're.
Agreed.
You don't think it's just? I do. I think King Solomon would think it's just.
Do you think justice is carried out on a personal level rather than a societal level?
It shouldn't be, but I'm just saying society failed. The
Well, it
justice
shouldn't
system
be.
sometimes fails. That's why I'm citing examples like The Godfather, which
you
is
sound
a
like
novel.
a child who is not happy with something didn't go their way. You know what I mean? This ain't fair, so I'm going to
Right.
take matters into my own hands. No, that's weakness, and that's not societal. That's not the way you behave as a human. I'm just saying.
Well, I think it's easy to say, since we
Until
are
something has
discuss-
happened to me, you're right. You're right. You're totally
That's
right.
what I'm saying. Yeah,
Until the
it's
shit's
very difficult. Maybe I may be full of shit and pose with that. God forbid,
Right.
pose with that situation. I may say I can't do it. I think I can, but
that's my point
that's
now.
Totally
Maybe
me
I
too.
say
That
I
could-
can't
that
do
could
it.
very-
Everett's right.
No,
I can't
that
do it.
possibility
That's-
is definitely
exactly-
on the fucking table to where
Maybe.
it could
I'm
be
just
to where
saying what I
like.
think I
now
do.
I assume that I could, but I can't.
That's my exact
that's
point.
there.
Okay.
That's there.
Well, I'll give you that much until
That's my-
you're there. Like,
yeah,
it's like
no,
combat.
I agree. But,
You
but
never
I
know.
think you guys are
you say I
thinking-
give you that point, but at the same time, you have to give me the point that you can't say you wouldn't until you were there.
I've already said that. I said if I am broke, anything is possible.
Exactly.
well.
There it is. Well, I don't.
But my point was
Does that
exactly
make you
that.
inhuman though to do it? You're saying that there's some sort of
You guys aren't
intrinsic
getting me
problem.
there. I'm trying to get you to go down a path with me here. And you just basically both said it, and you don't know until it happens. But my point is, you guys are right now so eager and easy saying that, yeah, fuck yeah, I'll do that. But you don't know.
Well,
but my point
true.
is, you are automatically stepping to the side of torture. In this unknownness, you're ready easily to make the jump that you would.
have made the argument to us as we're talking about torture today, so we're not talking about strictly just going and killing somebody. You're asking if we are going to be able
Right.
to torture.
And I'm saying
somebody.
you're eager. You think it's to me. It sounds like it's
no,
easy
but to
for
me,
you.
no, but to me, like
If you can
you're
make a choice
actually
right now,
putting another situation together where it's like, no, I would shoot them. That's not what we're talking about, though,
Okay,
because
you're right.
shooting is off the fucking table.
That's not what I'm
That's
talking about
not
at
what
this-
we're talking about.
right at
We're
this
talking
point.
about being tortured. Could I torture someone for that act?
right. Man, your filibusters fucking knocked me out of my.
Well, I think the gang knows whose side everybody's on. But I don't know if it makes you inhuman or a villain to have that impulse to exact revenge on somebody. That's all I'm saying. And I think
Here's my
torture
point.
in some instances,
On
that
torture.
we've discussed, is justified and useful, as far as military and to save lives.
All right, what do you got?
I forgot again.
See, that's how I do it. Yeah, I know. I can.
You guys just yeah. Oh no! Whenever you have a choice or not a choice, but two options, when one of them, and they're both uncertain, is what might happen, is either you might go crazy and torture people, or you probably won't go crazy and torture people. You guys, in my opinion, have taken the torture route way too easily. And
So you're saying instead of a 50-50, it should be more like a
it
70-30.
seems to me like you guys are like on the 70-30 camp that you will, or even 99-1, because it sounds like you guys are
Oh,
almost.
no. Is that what?
That's what it comes off as.
Oh,
to me.
no. I don't know.
You're like,
but
oh,
I
easily, fuck yeah.
I could do it.
So
and I
earlier-
could
But we're
see
also
myself doing it.
You might have been joking earlier, making jest, But whenever you say it like that, how am I
Well,
supposed
you
to
never
know
broke
otherwise?
down a percentage either.
Well,
Yeah, I don't know if you could
but
quantify it. But I'm just
right.
saying it depends on how evil we think the act is. If the enormity of the act justifies it,
I don't know
think
how
I could
much
do
you
it.
would fuck with me because
But
I could
again,
sit
that's
here
my
and
point,
say
though.
I could
You
sit
don't
here
know.
No,
You
I
don't know,
I don't
and-
know how much.
And if presented from one or the other, either you don't know how bad it is, but your immediate thought is, yeah, I could fucking torture somebody, is my point. That's immediate where you guys go. As soon as there's a chance, yeah, I definitely could.
I'm not ruling it out.
Yeah.
Period.
Yeah, that's not where you guys said.
Well,
But I'm not. What I'm going to do?
but I'm
Say
trying to
no?
think-
'Cause if
Earlier,
I'm not
like,
ruling
I
it
could
out,
totally
then I
fucking do
could.
it.
Then
Because
I'm saying I
I'm
could
trying
do it.
to. I'm actively trying to think of a situation where I would do it. That's all. I'm not. And if you say,
Yeah, exactly.
you know,
I'm
see,
if
that's
it's a
a
gray
myself
area,
in
I'll
the
grant you there are gray areas.
Right,
So
now,
I'm
yeah.
thinking of a thing that I think, okay, this I think I could really do it.
We're on
You know,
worst
a child
possible
murderer,
terms
rapist.
here.
Bob makes a
scenario.
point. How about the people in the movie Hostel who exacted revenge? Are they psychotic? Yes, they are psychotic. They had the choice to run. Unless they thought these guys were immediately coming after them and
Which
kill
they
them,
would have.
then that's defense. But whenever it doesn't seem like in the movie there was a definite revenge in fucking Hostel. That's whenever you're psycho. You've gone
Yeah, I
back
know
whenever
about
you
that.
didn't have to. You don't have to do that. Whenever now you've made the choice to go in and kill somebody just because for whatever reason, whether they've harmed you, whether they've stolen from somebody else, you're now the justice maker. That's when you're psycho. That's whenever you stepped out of what it is to be a human and
No,
let
I
society
think you're
take-
psycho when somebody steals $10 from you and you kill them
Just
or
the
beat them
level
to
of
death
society.
because they did. That's psycho.
It's
because
triggered.
the punishment is not appropriate to the crime.
Right.
We're thinking of crimes that we think are the worst things a person could do.
But my point is,
to my family
who
or my
are you
person.
to say what is appropriate?
Well, that's what we're
Society
debating.
has not given you that. We don't give individuals.
Well, that's why I'm putting all these caveats on it. That they went through the justice system, but the justice system did not give you satisfaction.
Well, you don't get to
that's why
decide. You don't get to once the justice system is not giving you satisfaction. It's not on you to go get it in another manner. That is not how it works.
I agree with Paul.
What's he saying here?
Armand slapped the
Every
soy boy who believed in global warming.
He says Everett, suck my nuts. Team Eric, Armand slapped the soy boy who believed in global warming. All right. I guess we just got a bunch of fucking psychopaths ready
I like
to.
Paul. Right on, Paul.
I don't know. Maybe I'm a marshmallow, just too easy
I
on
don't know,
society.
You're a little
But,
soft today. Yeah.
but society doesn't work whenever you have people going out and deciding to take matter in
That's
their own
why I
hands.
gave you the proviso that they've gone through the justice system, but the society they got off on some technicality. That's why I'm saying all this stuff.
Would you fault a person for killing someone else for their food if they had no food? Like people in Africa, like would you like if they had no food and they had to go and steal it and it came to a fight where they
Yes.
actually had to kill someone on accident?
Yes, they should be punished. I can fault you. Yeah, it is a bummer, and I can't say I wouldn't do it. But you just murdered someone. You made
But
the choice.
They don't have the
You
same
over them.
society.
Morality
finger quotations
is
that we
morality
have.
not universal?
Well, I don't know. Well, yeah, but I'd bring up something more like the Wild
Fair.
West. Where people killed each other out of
Right.
revenge, pretty much because there was no law. No law west of the Pecos, no God west of Dodge City or whatever the hell they used to say. What do you think about that? I mean,
Hold
was
on.
there that frontier justice? What do you think about that?
Frontier, yeah, lynchings, it's psychopath. Just
So
again,
you
it's
think we've
people
got
take.
less psychopath over time because that shit used to be a real common.
Yeah, we've gotten real bad about stopping, or real good about stopping vigilantism. Psychopaths, people taking matters in their own hands. That's not society. Taking matters in your own hands, going outside of the law, and
Yeah, but then how about Judge Roy Bean? He was a judge, and he's a hanging judge. He hang you just to get your money. So the law is not always
Again,
above. I mean, the
well, then
Nazis
something
were
needs to be done. But
the
you don't.
Nazis
You
were
don't
acting
form
totally
a lynch
within
squad.
the law.
You don't form a lynch squad after that judge. That we have places in society, ways to go. If it's gotten to the point of revolution, that's another thing.
Okay, well, I
you
don't
know
think we're
where
talking
I'm
about
at with
lawlessness.
this,
We're talking
don't
about
you?
torture.
Where you at?
The Senate will decide your fate.
Right.
I am the Senate.
And now that's the point again where revolution is on the table.
Right. So
But until then,
at that point, is he too dangerous to be left alive?
who gets to make that decision? If
The
you're
guy
to that
holding
point,
the lightsaber.
then that's revolution, and you're a psychopath. You either
So Mace Windu was a psychopath.
yeah,
Wow.
he's
Wow.
Well, I think the disagreement we have here is I think he's because when you told me the justice is I'll kill the guy for what did the act, but we would torture and he wouldn't. So I'm not sure that we're it's a pretty
Are you guys finishing with the murder? Yes, probably.
well. That's what we just said. No,
No,
we
not
asked
if they
you.
didn't
You would
kill.
kill the guy, but I might just if it was just a beating
Then
and I
you're
beat him,
really psycho. Then if you're not
I
going
don't
to kill
know.
him, you're just doing it.
but not if he didn't murder somebody.
Then is it bad enough if they didn't murder somebody? I don't know how it's bad enough. Even if it's a rape of my family, I don't see where it's bad enough to where I have to think it's on me to go out and mete out this justice.
Well,
That's
it is
not
your
how
family.
It works.
Well, I just said that. He got away with it, and he's like, he's got off.
Yeah,
Suspended
that's
sentence or whatever.
unfortunate, but
You
I
ha-
still
You
don't
wouldn't,
see.
you'd leave him alone. You
I don't
wouldn't
feel the
exact any
compulsion.
revenge.
I don't
Okay.
feel that compulsion.
I think I would.
I think I would too.
And
that's why I think you guys
would
are
you
psycho.
hire someone to do it?
No.
You wouldn't do that either.
No.
That's why I think you guys are psycho.
I thought you were worried about not going to jail.
I'm not saying it's not understandable. I just think you're fucking crazy.
Well, I don't know.
You've passed the point of normal sanity where you think that's an acceptable way to be.
I think most of the people are agreeing with us.
Just because they agree with you doesn't
they're
make
psycho
it right.
too.
Exactly.
Jesus Christ.
If an entire society
It's
is
called
crazy,
everybody's fucking.
Thank God there's one last bastion of sanity in this society. But I don't know.
hey, in the movie fucking Fahrenheit 454, the entire society was okay with burning books. That didn't make it okay. If
451.
whatever it was. It doesn't matter. My point is just because everybody believes it's okay, everybody at one point in time in the South believed that slavery was fine. That didn't make it really okay.
No.
Morality
Well, that's
is
what we were
morality.
talking about with the Nazis. I mean, what they did was lawful.
Right. And it
Okay.
does not make it okay.
Well, when the Jews were liberated and they attacked the guards to kill them, I think they were justified.
So just because we're going outside of the law doesn't mean what we're doing is wrong.
Yes, it does.
if you torture them, if you kill them outright, that's not so bad.
It's still
I don't
wrong.
know. I don't understand that logic.
No, it's still wrong. For me to go out
Okay,
and
so that is
exact that
wrong.
revenge, like to go out and take a revenge murder, that's wrong. In fact, I should go to prison for the rest of my life for doing that. Because I've broken the rules of law. I disregarded anyone else. All I wanted was to kill that person. I don't care if that bullet went through their head and killed the little girl behind them. You know what I'm saying? That's why we have these laws to make sure people
Why
don't.
is there justifiable homicide then? We have that on the books.
Yeah, I mean there is a thing.
And there was no such thing as justifiable homicide.
Because people like you who say, yeah, this person had the right to do that. No, it's not really justifiable. It's understandable homicide.
No,
it's not
that's-
justifiable.
The law says
The
justifiable.
law
They don't
says
go to.
that.
They
And
don't
not
go
only
to,
that, like
well,
the
you're one.
jurors literally will vote people not like a woman
And
that
it's the
kills
law,
her
so
husband after she's
it's the law, and that's the way it
been
is, and I will
beat
never
for so
fight it.
fucking long.
Because I'm not the type of person to go fight a law. But that's what society says is okay, then that's fine.
Jury lets those people off. Even though they could have been a psychopath, been planning this for 3 weeks, and the next time my husband beats me, I've got everything ready to kill this motherfucker, and he does it. Bing, bang, boom. They're in the
You know what?
courtroom. Jury lets him off.
I'm happy to lose this debate to you guys. And I'm happy for every one of you psychopaths in the fucking chat to think that I'm a pussy and I'm brainwashed because I don't think it's okay to step outside of the law and out of society. I'm sorry, I'm a good little boy who has a vision for what it could be if everyone followed the rules.
What
the way it should
about
be.
this? Would you still call that person a psychopath that got away with it, even though the jury said this was justifiable homicide? Because your
Justifiable
reasoning,
homicide is
hang
so
on. Your
bullshit.
reasoning was because you can't go outside the fucking law to do these things. That's what you're a fucking psychopath about. So, but the law is saying that's okay. You did it. You're good to go. Are they still a psychopath?
Yes. Just because the law said it was okay.
Well, that's kind of a contradiction, then, aren't you saying? I mean, because the law is the final arbiter of justice.
Yeah,
right?
that's what you said. That's the reason they're psychopaths,
there's
because
a
they
gray
went
area there.
outside the law to do this.
No, it's a psychopath that is willing to go outside the law.
Ooh, hey, what do we get? We get 2 votes. I'm changing to Team Armand. So
There
that's
you go.
Eric,
You guys are all
that's
perfect for
pretty
each
good.
other.
Thanks, Tim. I'll take half.
You bunch of maniacs are all purposeful. I hope I never slight any of you in the slightest degree. And then I really hope that somebody doesn't go against what you consider to be the fair outcome of this, because then I got to watch my back, and you're coming at me. That's it. We had a judgment. You didn't like it. You're gonna go and get your you're gonna go get your way. That's what it comes down to.
Via torture.
Via
correct.
whatever means. If you're not happy with the way it went, well, I'm gonna go make it right. There's not like. It works both ways. That's the way the thing works. Sometimes you're the fucking bull.
You
and
guys
sometimes
just
you're
had
the
a
horse.
show about stupid laws. Tim makes a good point. Think about the pieces of shit who make those laws. You just had a show about how stupid these laws are.
Yeah.
So don't give me this stuff about the justice system. We know how fucked up that is.
I'm not saying the justice system isn't wrong, but I'm saying the type of person who is willing to step outside the law like that, be it a Batman or somebody whose family got wronged or whatever.
But let's be serious. It's
You're
not
a
just the
broken
law
person.
that you're upset about, because you step outside the law
You're breaking out of what is considered
all the time.
fair enough. Yeah. So
So it's not just the stepping outside the law that makes you a psychopath. I just want to clear that up. That's not your constraint for being a psychopath, is
Fair.
stepping outside the law.
Fair.
Right?
No, wanting to torture somebody, he's saying, but I still don't
to take
understand
a
how.
pleasure in that.
Well,
to
Well,
be,
I wouldn't take pleasure in
not
it,
even
'cause
a
it's still
pleasure.
going to be a bad experience.
Okay, if it's for a person, you're a psychopath as soon as you believe that it's okay for you to do something on your own like that. To go to not.
Oh, no, it's not okay.
You're just saying you're.
No, it's not okay. It wasn't
Then it
okay what
is.
he did either.
Well,
but
no,
it's
you-
not okay for me to do this, but I'm doing it anyway.
You think our sense of
Then it is.
justice
You
is
think it's
warped.
okay.
No,
Even though
no,
you're
no, I
fine with
know
the
it's not
consequences.
okay.
You know there's consequences, and you're fine that you're going to take them. But it's okay for you to go ahead and do this because you've accepted there's consequences.
No, it's not okay to do. I'm still doing it, but it's not. Doesn't make it okay.
If it's not okay, then you wouldn't do it. it's okay to do with these caveats is what you're.
Well, remember now. Here's
No,
You're deluding yourself.
What do you think about this?
Prepared
You're
to
deluding
deal with
yourself.
what
What do you think about
happens
this? See,
afterwards.
now, our prison system has evolved quite a bit, you'll admit. In the 30s, and we've all seen these movies of Cagney and George Raft where they go up the river, and they're not just in a cell, they're making little rocks out of big rocks, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, if I think I'd be okay with that if a guy that raped or killed a family member, whatever, and they assign them to hard labor for the rest of their lives. Now, is that perverse or is that torture?
That's fine.
Because that's what they used to do.
That's fine with me. That's imprisonment for the rest of your life. And
But hard labor, that's a different story. That's not cable TV and you know.
You're going to go out and bust rocks or
Okay,
dig ditches.
That's
or,
not torture.
That's not torture.
See, I could live with that.
What if you kept the guy at your
Well,
house
it's a
and
mild
made him
torture.
do
Any
your
kind of
rock
imprisonment
busting?
is a torture.
Yeah. So what
I don't know
if you
about
kept the
that.
guy at your house because he got off and you just gave him that same sentence? I'm going to keep him here and bust
So
rocks for the
somehow-
rest of his life in my backyard.
So what you're saying in this weird society you've thought of, now the bereaved is allowed to take the person who's gone against them and turn them into their personal slave?
He went to court. They got tried, got off.
So his community
through a
service.
technicality.
Well, I'm just-
got off through a technicality. But you're still going to administer the punishment that he should have gotten.
What I'm trying to say is, Eric, what we think of as justice has evolved. In the 30s, that's what they did. I mean, these guys were working their butts
And I think
off.
you guys are an evolutionary step or two behind.
Okay,
That's
so
my
you,
point.
but you think it's better? You think the penal code and the system we have now is better than that?
Better than that, not perfect by any means, but better. And it'd be a lot better if people didn't think that they can go take it into their own hands when they're not happy with the way it works out.
But you
for
would
them.
Why?
agree
We have
that-
a system that if they take it into their own hands, they go to jail and everything gets fine, right? It's not. I mean, why are you okay with that? Why are you mad about it? I should say.
I'm not mad about it because you're right. We do have a system where if they take it into their own hands, they get punished. That's the way it should be. I think it's bad whenever people think it's okay, for any reasons, to step outside of what the society said okay.
But that's what I'm saying.
Whenever you're doing it for revenge, for personal gain.
I think your
Society
problem-
is transitory in what they consider justice, though.
Yeah,
so
that's
that's
my-
what I'm saying. What passed for what we would call justice in the 20s is not justice now. In
And we
fact,
don't have a
that's torture.
Coliseum anymore either. You know what I'm saying? We don't put the fucking
Well, that's
criminals
what I
out
was
there to
trying to-
fight lions. Evolve your thoughts a little
Maybe
bit.
we should.
They weren't. I don't think that most of the gladiators were hired. You know, they were paid.
That's not
what
my
they were.
point. My point is,
And galley
the
slaves too,
punishment-
by the way. There were no galley slaves.
2,000 years ago, punishment looked different than it does now. All I'm
Sure.
saying is,
I don't think you can get in your head that someone could do something and still say in their head, "I know this isn't okay, but I'm doing.
I know
it
that
has
you
to be
can.
done."
But my point is, I don't think as long as people are doing it, that's when you're crazy. To where you've got to the point where I know this is wrong, but I'm doing it anyway.
Yeah.
And at
what's-
such a high level, that's when you're crazy. When you've got to the point where I'm going to commit.
Yeah, but what do you think about
wanton
this, Eric?
destruction.
What do you think about this? See, what we like in a lot of these Arab countries, it's legal to rape a woman.
Yeah,
Yeah,
not fucking
okay.
right at all.
So it's completely legal. So I mean, the law is an arbiter too, but it's
In fact, they
very
stone her.
transient. And stone them for adultery. You know, things like
yeah,
that. I mean,
stone
so
the woman
law,
for adultery.
I don't know if
All
you're
right,
excused.
that's fair enough.
That's what
but
I'm
just
saying. It's
because
not
it's
always
law, don't
right.
make it right. You're totally right.
Okay, well,
but at the same
right.
time, in that society over there, it's not okay to go outside of their rules. You know what I mean? Just because a person on the street, on a single person, just decided I don't like the way this is went, I'm going to go outside the law and just get personal satisfaction. It's selfish and it's just bullshit.
I'm
It's
just saying, though,
self-gratifying.
but when you bring up law is so varied over the. I mean, Sharia law,
Law
you
and
kill an infidel.
self-gratification have no place
So-
together.
Kill an infidel.
Well,
that's right.
that's your justification. You're saying, you're a pervert or you're a psychotic because the law, you're not abiding by the law. Well, we think
Right.
the law in this case can be wrong, and to take
Certain laws,
the
sure.
law into our own hands, I don't think it's psychotic. That's all.
Whenever
in certain cases.
It's
Not
a
every
degrees
case.
of psychotic. Like this, I'm psychotic where I said I would go out and kill someone. I say you're more psychotic where you said you would go out and torture someone. Whenever you, like, if it's a justice to just this is your punishment and there's no emotion behind it. But whenever you put the emotion in where you're taking the long-term torture or something like that, you've made the steps in your mind at that point. And it's way worse than making the one leap where I'm going to end this finality and it's done. I'm not going to tear it out or make it come out anymore.
No, let me repeat though. I'm just saying if a person shot I don't have a brother, but if I had my father put a gun to the back of his head and shot him, I would think it'd be justice to put a gun to the back of his head and shoot him.
I know you
If
would
he
think that.
beat- I do, and I think you would too.
I do
It
not
sounds
think
like
that.
okay, you don't. All right, well,
I think if someone went and shot my dad in the back of the head, my mom or my wife, we have a due process in this country to where they got to go to court and go through a trial. And then at the point of the end of the trial, they're found not guilty or the cops fucked up and they got off for whatever reason. I'm saying I would never find it acceptable to go find that person and kill them myself.
Well, I'd hire somebody to do it.
Well, that's where I'm saying you're different than me.
Okay.
And I think you're a
But
step
I'm
or
just
two
saying
behind
also,
what is a civilized way to
if the
think.
guy tortured somebody and beat him, broke all the bones in their arm or whatever, and my sister say is still alive, but she's a wreck,
Right.
I would derive more satisfaction from beating him
But
with
it-
a lead pipe and breaking
Justice
every
is
bone in
not
his.
about satisfaction.
It is to me.
Well, then you have a fucked
Then
up
it's
view
not
of what
justice.
justice is. Exactly right. It's not justice. It's personal gratification.
Well, you just don't think eye for an eye is justice. I do.
don't.
In certain cases.
Eye for an eye may be justice if it's done without any kind of fucking bias
It
or
may not be
personal
your particular
or-
brand of justice, but it's
So,
justice.
Say this: if it's eye for an eye, you accidentally poked out his eye. It's justice if me as a third party individual say, okay, no matter what, your eye's coming out now.
No, that's different. I mean, come on. I don't think that's.
What if
I don't think that's proper.
Oh, no,
If
man,
it's,
he was fucking around.
It's
It-
different
Yeah,
though.
right,
It-
come
but
on.
It's different than go, you fucking poke my eye out. I am going to be the one who takes your eye out. That's where I think.
No, I'll take
no,
your eye out.
I think you're
I mean,
right
you're-
there. I mean, then you're
But
crazy.
that's what you're saying.
No, I'm not. I'm
Okay.
saying deliberate.
Okay, how about
deliberate.
this? Same situation. You put my eye out,
Premeditated.
and the guy over there says, yeah, but it doesn't really count. But in your mind, it fucking counts,
Well,
and
then
I'm
you got a
taking your eye
problem.
out.
Well, you're nuts.
Exactly.
But
That's
I
my
don't think what
point.
I said is nuts.
That's the exact same situation.
a guy abducts a small child, rapes and kills that or tortures that child to death deliberately.
Right.
I don't think there's any torture I can devise that's good enough for him. That's all.
But it's
Fair.
not on you.
And I don't care what the law says.
It's not. Yeah, that's my problem. That's
Well,
how you're psycho.
well, but I just told you the law varies. In the Middle East, I'd probably get away with it, or some countries, I'd probably get away with it. So why is that law any worse than our law?
It is
You're
worse.
talking about American law.
Yeah.
I'll bet in
No, I'm
Saudi
talking-
Arabia I'd get away with
Fuck
it.
the law. Let's talk about morality.
Well, you're the one bringing it up. That's
Well-
your excuse. You got to abide by the law.
By the law of your society. You're right.
Right.
And there is a little bit of a hypocrisy there, especially when you
Okay.
start bringing in like the law, like the Middle Eastern law. What do they call that? The fucking Sharia law. Yeah, I find that to be bullshit. But again, we're talking about the kind of person who thinks it's okay to step outside of law to make justice on their own hands. That's what I'm saying.
I
As
mean,
soon
if
as you
you-
step past that point, you are technically, in my
let me
opinion,
give you a point. Yeah, if you do that and you say this guy is a kid, now I'm going to go out and find every guy that looks odd at a little girl or I think is a pervert
That's
and torture him to
psycho.
death. Now you're out. Now you're gone.
All right, now
I
you've
didn't say
replaced the
that.
guy you did before.
Well, I'm saying that's psychotic. That's
There's
sociopath.
levels of it. Yeah, there's different levels
But
of
what
it.
I'm saying to exact revenge on one specific guy that did you an injury that the law did not give you recompense for, and to take a certain satisfaction out of watching him suffer, I don't think
As
that's
you
don't think-
have.
Let's
I
take
don't
this out of
think
context.
I think that's
to take
human
a
nature.
certain satisfaction from
That's
watching
all.
someone suffer. I don't think that's crazy.
A guy that made me suffer.
Right out of context. I don't think it's crazy to get a certain satisfaction
Listen,
from
when
watching
I
someone
wrestled,
suffer.
let me tell you something. When I wrestled in college, there were certain guys that were dirty wrestlers, okay?
And you would
they
take a satisfaction
I
by
took a
rubbing their nose
satisfaction
in
getting
it.
dirty with them too. And there's some guys that are clean wrestlers, and we knew the difference. And I wrestled a different way with those two guys. Does that make me a psychotic? Because there's
No.
guys I'm going to pinch and put an elbow in their back of their neck and gouge, give them the fish
Makes you
hook,
know better than
'cause they
they
did
are.
it to me.
Yeah, that's cool. I get why you would
Well,
do it.
that's human nature.
Well, I'm saying you don't have just because it's human nature doesn't make it right. You can be more than the sum of your
Doesn't
instinct.
make it wrong either.
That's how we've survived so far.
You should be more than the sum of your instinct. Is my point. As a person, to be a better person is to
I don't
to
think
be
we've
different
evolved
from
that.
animals.
Well, I don't think we've evolved. If
But we can
evolved that,
try.
If we tried, there'd be no crime. If everyone were angels, we wouldn't need
Oh
the
damn,
law.
that'd be horrible.
Well, that's what well, I know, but we haven't gone that far. I wish it would.
And I agree. And
That's
we'll
what
get,
James Madison said.
and I'm
if all
not
men
saying
were
we
angels,
push
we
it.
wouldn't need government.
And I'm not saying we push society to make it to where people have to decide to be good. I want society to decide this is the way you
Right,
should
I
act.
wish we'd
in a moral
evolved
way.
that far. That we didn't need to have
But
this
you are
discussion.
walking proof that we have not, and are pretty much unwilling
I'm
to.
sitting. I'm walked.
Yeah, you
I've
get
been
my
sitting
point.
here for 2 hours.
That's true.
All right, I think we've
Yeah,
tortured this to death.
You're right, Armand. You got to tell us when the show's over.
Yeah, now we're gonna torture our listeners.
Anyway,
all right,
that's been a good show today, guys.
I thought it
nice,
was a good
lively debate.
discussion.
Yeah,
as usual.
it was
Smash like
good.
button. What?
What?
Oh.
All right, let's go through the outro shit and let's call it a day.
Yeah, catch us on YouTube at www.youtube.com/Surreal Talk Podcast.
See, there, you can't even mention wrestling without somebody bringing LGBT into it. I mean, come on.
Get us on Facebook.
See, we haven't
Surreal
evolved
Talk,
past that.
or you can go to the group at Surreal Talk Podcast, Cults, Conspiracies, the Paranormal, the group. Get us on Twitter at Surreal Talk Show. And look us up on Patreon if you feel inclined to do so.
You can get us there at surrealtalkpodcast.com/Patreon or patreon.com/surrealtalk. Either way, get there.
Oh, damn.
And if you, for some reason, haven't heard us talk about this bullshit before, what Patreon is a voluntary subscription service where you can choose to donate or subscribe to us for any amount of money you want a month, from $1 to a couple $1 billion. We still haven't received that one
Yeah,
yet.
if you
I
wanna
keep
watch me
throwing it
get-
out there.
If you want to watch me get waterboarded,
we should set Armand up a Patreon. I bet that shit would go to the roof.
I bet. He don't fucking need
That's why I
one.
don't. Yeah. Anyway.
We set it up in Armand's name and keep the password.
One other thing we got.
Team Anarchy. Matt just said
One other
it.
thing we gotta talk about for the network is Yo Radio. Yo Radio is a sister company of Line Up Media. You'll find a lot of the same content you find on lineupmedia.fm on Yo Radio. You can go to yoradio.com to learn more about Yo Radio. It's a streaming radio app. We have stations ranging from top 40 hits. We have a jam band station kind of focused around the Grateful Dead. I love that station. We've got a bunch of rap stations. Let's take a look real quick.
You can even catch Surreal Talk on Yo Radio.
That's true. We're actually, they've tasked me with creating a whole conspiracy channel. So once I get some time, which who knows when that'll be, I'm going to contact
put
a bunch
other
of
good podcasts on there.
I'm going to make a whole channel of good podcasts. It just, you're on that scheduled time.
Can they get this day in history on there?
I'm not sure what channel it would be on. We have very many channels on there right now. We got a 60s channel, 70s channel, an 80s channel playing some of the best shit. I wonder if I get in trouble for playing a quick little excerpt. Let's see what happens.
Just see what.
This is the 80s station.
That's a good song.
Yeah.
Peter Gabriel, right?
Yes, it is.
Yeah, good.
We got a
good
UGC
song.
station. Did you know that?
Yeah, let's hear it.
There we go. UGC station. I don't know what this is.
What is that? What's UGC?
UGC is the company I work for, Armand. See your
that,
shirt there?
that.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought it was kind of rap.
That was
or
Busta
something.
Rhymes. Apparently, Busta Rhymes somehow is UGC related. Another cool one we just picked up, though, is the Gateway Grizzlies. Every time they do a game now, we are broadcasting their game exclusively on yoradio.com.
Really?
So,
Hey, those are fun. I've gone to a couple of the games.
oh, they got a great stadium
yeah,
over there.
it's
right?
cheap too. Boy,
Yeah.
it's really cheap.
So anyway, if you're into streaming radio at all, check out yoradio.com and give it a look. They've given us some consideration on the show, so we'd appreciate the help.
For sure.
Other than that, thanks a lot, everybody,
Yeah,
for
thanks.
listening. We'll be back next
Lot of
week.
fun.
Thank you again, Armand, for coming
Well,
on. I
no.
still love you despite your
Yeah,
you're a
well.
psycho. All right, everybody, we'll catch you
That
next
makes
week.
you a psycho de facto.
It's
that
all
was
point
a
of
good
view.
show. I think it's too bad at all, man.
Let me hit stop real quick.
On the record.
So I'm going to be pulling that off of YouTube again.
God damn it.
That's okay, though.
Yeah, it isn't okay because of the stream paused a few times.
Was it getting a little hot in here?
It's fine. Oh, well. Okay, so I'll do that here in a few. All right. Am I crazy?
When I
guess
first
am
found this
crazy.
podcast, I thought you said Light Up Radio. I figured this was some stoner conspiracy podcast. It kind of is, though, right? I mean, you weren't wrong.
A little bit, yeah.
So I figured this was some stoner conspiracy podcast. Yeah,
What
I mean,
makes those men making the laws better than anyone else? Generally, they're not just chosen at random from the street. These are people who've spent time, and we have a confidence in. If we don't have a confidence in them to make these laws, then why bother having them? It's just like any other reason you give somebody a job. Because they're probably the best person to consider out what makes a law a good law. That's my thought. I don't want to keep going into it, but the question was posed. Allah Akbar, indeed.
Allah Akbar.
Allah.
I didn't get to give my sepoy rebel. Damn it! That's one thing I want to talk about.
Oh, we're not off the air. Why don't you come in here and finish? Whoa.
All right. Well, I just want to. In the 1850s, I want to know if you guys think this is torture. The 1850s, there was the Sepoy Rebellion in India against the British, and the reason was they had the cartridges that they had to tear they had like a wrapper around the cartridge they had to put before they put it in their rifles. Well, the cartridge it was stated that the cartridges were made from beef. There was like leather or whatever, cow. And also the cartridges had some pig on them too, or whatever. So the Muslims wouldn't fire because they had to bite into it
Right.
and tear it off. So the Muslims and the Hindus wouldn't bite it because it was
the beef,
cow.
right.
And supposedly there was pork in it too somehow. It was greased with pork. So the Muslims wouldn't. I mean the Muslims wouldn't.
Is that
fire.
torture? No.
Well, what they did was in the sepoy, if they caught somebody and they wanted to extract information, or they told the Muslims, if you don't tell us what we want to know, we're going to kill you and wrap you in a pigskin.
Absolutely
so you don't
torture.
see Allah.
Absolutely torture.
Yeah, that's torture. That's for sure torture.
Yeah.
But without the killing, though, being threatening them with a religious.
It goes against every definition we had of psychological torture. That meets the definition of it right there.
Yeah.
But that's
torture.
weird that they don't use that as a torture. Now, they say, we're not going to torture you, but we're going to put you in a
Because that only works on the weak-minded of that
I don't know,
religion.
though,
You know
but-
what I mean? You say I'm not going to see my maker. I say I'm going to. Fuck you.
Yeah,
Kill
the
me
people that
away and
commit
wrap me in cow.
Yeah, but don't you think people that commit suicide because they think they're going to get 72 virgins might have a problem with being encased in a pigskin?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, you're probably
Now,
right.
does that count as torture? That's
Yes.
still
Yes.
torture, though. Okay, I
Yes,
just want to make
definitely.
sure. But that's okay.
Orton, no forcing people to listen to Barney. Yeah, maybe not. Good topic today, but I bet Everett sits when he pees.
Ooh, that hurts.
Damn.
Oh, I'm so hurt. I'm so
I have
hurt.
Nothing to add.
Bob, you're banned. That's it. We've heard
I
enough
know
of you.
Team Bob's on.
All right, you done with
I
it?
gotta get personal. I don't know. You bunch of fucking psychos. I'm very disappointed in you.
Psycho.
Team Everett is a vote for non-psychos and a society that thinks and doesn't just act. Just saying. Armand is a scientist and thinking man. Your propensity for revenge really surprises me.
That's right. Beat him to death with a ball bat.
Yeah, that goes real good with your scientific outlook.
That's right. Isaac Newton would have done it.
Isaac Newton for murder.
The scientific method.
All right, guys, we'll catch you all next week.
All
Thanks
right,
for
we're
hanging
outta here.
See you.